Youth Academy Challenge is where you can only use the players from your own youth intakes. And you can't sign players. Oh, what am I doing? Anyway, my club of choice is PSG. No, just kidding. I would never in a million years want to go to that disease of a club. So, the club we're going to is in Turkey. We'll be going to Yeni Malatyaspor. Now, the recent history of this club is very sad. In 2022, the club's chairman resigned, which was good riddance to be fair. Just look at his smug face.
It's time for the smug face.
And that was also the same season they got relegated from the Super League. And in February of 2023, their goalkeeper was killed by rubble from a collapsed building in the aftermath of the Turkey-Syria earthquakes. Following the earthquake, because of severe damages to the club's facilities, the club withdrew from the league. But they since got a chance to participate in this season's first league, where they are now last with 37 losses from 37 games, and also minus 21 points. They've also got minus 134 in goal difference, so we have a huge job ahead of us. The man that's taking over Yeni Malatyaspor is Burak Yilmasmåen. Yilmasmåen is a guy with a big head, and one who doesn't really think things through before doing them. So you could say he's a bit of a hothead. He looks like a bottle of mustard, and he's seriously committed to bringing Yeni Malatyaspor back up. I mean, look at the state of him. And he also loves to mentor young kids. I will be starting out on a clean slate at the start of next season, as they're clearly getting relegated. So we're starting in the third tier of Turkey, and hopefully we can build this club back up again and bounce back from tragedy. We of course can't bring any new players in, so we'll have to do with what we've got right now. And by the way, I will be using the players at the club currently, and then add in youth players as they come through the intakes. We have such a small squad, it's actually ridiculous. This is how the team looks, as we'll play a simple 4-3-3 tactic for now. And this is with like 5 to 8 youth players moved up. We genuinely had about 13 first team players. The standout players though are actually the entire backline, except the goalie. Emirkan, Yigit, Erdogan and Ferhat. This guy, Tala, and finally Kerem Altunisic on the left wing. He looks really good, and I'm hoping he can carry us. By the way, our best goalkeeper is 15 years old, and the average age of our starting 11 is 19.7. So I'm hoping these players can improve quickly, because I need them to. We're actually predicted as a big favorites to go down, so I'm just looking to avoid that, to be honest. Even though the board think we're getting directly promoted. Have you even looked at the squad? We start the season at home against Arnavutköy, and we start by scoring an early goal. Haydar Gul, our 16-year-old right winger, scored this towering header to give us the lead. There were only 2 more highlights, and that was this big save from their goalie onto the post, and this post hit from Haydar. So we win 1-0 in our first ever game at the club. A great start. We continued that form in the second game, as we took the lead 2 minutes in, as our 16-year-old striker Ignosi scored. Tala then doubled it in the 29th. In the 84th, Chalik, our 15-year-old goalie, pulled off this insane save, but 2 minutes later they scored either way. We held on though, to get our second win in 2 games. The third game wasn't anything special until the 73rd, when Haydar scored this deflected shot, but in the 92nd they equalized. But when everyone thought it'd end as a draw, Metahan popped up and scored a header from Haydar's corner in the 96th. 3 wins out of 3 games. A very dull 0-0 draw with Giresunspor followed, before we ran over Nazillispor 3-0. Tala and Burak FA ×2 got our goals as we get yet another win in this insane season opening. In another dull game, this time against Karaman, they stole a 1-0 win as they scored from this pen. So our first loss is official. We hit back with a 2-1 win, as our 16-year-old winger Haydar got 1 and Tala got the other. The good times weren't gonna last forever though. 3 straight losses, and 4 if you include the cup, in fixtures I thought would be the better side. We lost 2-1 to Denizlispor, 2-1 to Aksarayspor as their winger did this, 1-0 to Somaspor, and finally 3-2 to Tepçikspor in the cup.
There is no passion, there is no vision, there is no aggression, there is no fucking mindset in this football club.
So we're out of the cup, which I don't really mind, and we're in 7th after 10 league games. We started so well and looked like we'd challenged for the title, but we've then lost 4 out of the last 5, and all of them have been by a single goal. We're really desperate for a goal scorer, that's for sure. A quick start was the theme in the next game, as they took the lead 4 minutes in, but then we equalized just 3 minutes later, through Metahan's header. Denizli then hit the bar 10 minutes later, and about 10 minutes after that again, their goalie pulled this off. Our goalie, Chalik, then provided a great save, before we got a pen in the 39th, which Tala scored. But then Kerem decided to do this. He's only gone and got sent off. Fuck me, man. Nothing happened until the 78th, as they scored to equalize. In the 87th though, Serkan Çakiroglu, our backup left back, who's playing in place of an injured Ferhat Canli, played this outrageous ball over the top to Denizli, who scores with a good finish to get us the win. We finally win again, and with 10 men for over half the game as well.
I play a lot of Fortnite.
Before our next game, Abdullah Çalik has been called up to the Turkey under-18s. That's a huge statement on how promising he is. He's only 16 and is playing 2 years up on an international stage. That's pretty sick. Before facing league leaders Yeni Malatyaspor, we win 1-0 against Derinçespor as Haydar got our only goal. And we also win 3-2 against Diyarbakırspor after a great first half, where Ekmen, Tala and Denizli got one each. And against Yeni Malatyaspor, we took the lead early through Denizli after a great team move. In the 32nd, Tala Bulut missed this huge chance after a good build-up from the entire team once again. But just a minute later, Denizli scored again. Another tap in, this time from Tala's pass from a short corner. Despite conceding in the 67th, we managed to hold on to the lead and get such an important win. And we finally have a goal scorer in our team, in 16-year-old Alperen Denizli.
Let's go! Come on!
We continue our 4-game winning run as we beat Erbaspor 2-0 thanks to goals from Denizli and Ekmen. Later in the game, Ekmen also pulled off this dribble. I've never seen that animation before. That's brilliant. We then smashed Ankara Demirspor 4-1 as Tala scored a pen and Denizli scored a hat-trick. And his goals were 3 nice goals as well. The next game, we just about won 1-0 against Menemen. Many men. Thanks to Ekmen's nice finish. But in the 18th league game, we got humbled real bad by Vanspor. So our 7-game winning run has come to an abrupt end.
Things can happen. Remember, we mustn't forget that it's been raining, so...
At the halfway point, after 18 league games, we're in 2nd. We're 2 points behind Yeni Malatyaspor and are definitely within reach of getting the title. The youth intake preview has also come through, and we have 2 ace. We have ace at fullback and in attacking midfield. And then we have less efficient players in the rest of the positions. And finally, the presidential elections at Yeni Malatyaspor went in favor of Yahya Çelik, and he sent me this after doing so. He's not invested. The 19th league game, Denizli continued his form by scoring once, but we only managed a 1-1 draw with 18th place Arnavutköy because of this insane free kick. The 2 next games we just about won 1-0 against both Beyoğlu Yenikarsi and Elazığspor, thanks to this rather bad finish from Ekmen and this nice finish from Haydar. Our next 2 games were a big mess. We won 4-2 against Giresunspor in the end, as Denizli got his 2nd hat-trick of the season. And against Natsilispor, they took the lead early. We equalized from the spot, before their striker scored again, from another corner. Not long after, Denizli scored again for us as he picked up a loose back pass. And 4 minutes after that again, Ferhat scored to give us the lead for the first time. We extended our lead through Ekmen, before they reduced the arrears not long after, from yet another set piece. Ekmen scored again to extend our lead to 2 once more, but they scored yet again, through their striker Gökbayrak yet again. In the 92nd though, we got another pen, which Denizli scored again to get his hat-trick for the 2nd game in a row.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
As it turned out, we did all that hard work only to throw it all away in a 1-0 loss to Karaman. A positive though is that the Nicelis won the Player of the Month for February after scoring 6 and assisting 1 in 4 games. And he continued as he got our only goal against Karakabe in a 1-0 win. That win means we're in second after 25 league games, a single point behind Menemen, but we have a game in hand. So we have a great chance of getting ahead of them and getting the title. The youth intake day is here, the most important day of the year. And it is incredible. We've got an insane left back in Umut Şahin, a great goalie in Cemil Bayram, and another 6 elite talents. It's absolutely brilliant, and Umut Şahin is coming straight into the starting 11.
Tiki-taki. Tiki-taki.
The next game we drew 1-1 with Denizlispor in a disappointing performance, before winning 3-2 against Aksarayspor. Burak FA and Denizli ×2 scored our goals. We then beat Somaspor 2-1 with Metehan and Tala getting the goals, before smashing Bukaspor 5-1 as the Denizli got 2 goals and 2 assists in yet another brilliant performance. And that got him a second Player of the Month in a row, as he scored 5 and assisted 2 in 5 games. Against Derinçespor, Haydar scored this outrageous free kick off the bar to give us the lead. Denizli scored our second and we therefore won 2-1. But Haydar got injured straight after scoring his insane free kick, and he's picked up shin splints, so he's out for 6 to 7 weeks. Bro literally just said, I'ma head out after scoring a banger.
Una partita molto importante. No, tranquillo. Faccio and then I...
Thanks to that banger, we're in first after 30 games played. We're 4 points clear of Menemen, with a game in hand as well. And we've already secured a playoff spot. So if we win a couple more games, and specifically our games against Menemen and Yeni Malatyaspor, then we've secured the title. In the next game, I put my full faith in one of the youth intake players, Serhat Akar. His debut was very memorable. He scored this goal against Diyarbakırspor to get his first senior goal at 15 years old, which obviously broke the record for youngest goal scorer. And it also got us the 1-0 win before playing Yeni Malatyaspor in a huge game. And against them, Akar did brilliantly once again, as he went around his man to square to Yigit to tap in 2 minutes in. But just 5 minutes later, they equalized. Another 10 minutes after that, Metehan scored a long ranger, which I genuinely think was a pass. As nothing else happened, we won 2-1 against Yeni Malatyaspor to get a huge result.
I have no knowledge of any of this. This is so bizarre.
The 33rd league game was the definition of a game of 2 halves. We scored 4 in the first half, through an own goal, Erdogan from the spot, Denizli and Metehan. And then another 3 minutes into the second, as Erdogan scored his second bet. But we then let our guard down, and they scored in the 49th, the 51st, the 89th and the 94th. But we just about held on to win 5-4 in the end after a bonkers game. As we've kept winning our games, we now just need to win the 34th game against Ankara Demirspor to get the title. We started by scoring an offside goal, before they hit the post. And finally, in the 52nd, we score as Denizli does incredibly well, as he turns away his man and finishes with a great finish off the post. Tala doubled it 20 minutes later. And Denizli scored again 6 minutes after that again. After a consolation goal from them, we win 3-1 against Ankara Demirspor to win the league. We've actually done it. We're into the first league without signing a single player. And as we win against Menemen and draw against Fanspor, we win the league by 11 points in the end. Alperen Denizli's development this season needs to be studied. He's gone from a 1.5 star player to a 4.5 star. He scored 29 goals this season, and obviously won the top scorer title as well as the player of the season. That's incredible. And Abdullah Chalik's development has also been insane. He's gone from a 2 star to a 3.5. And he's been called up to Turkey's under-18s team multiple times. And one that's gone slightly under the radar is Gökhan Ekmen, who's been our assist king this season. And with the recent additions of Serhat Akkar and Umut Şahin, we can hopefully build on this incredible first season where we exceeded all expectations and keep us up next year. Starting our second campaign with Yeni Malatyaspor in Turkey, there was a lot of optimism in the air. We were learning our system, our youngsters were developing nicely, and Burak Yilmasmåen had managed the side to a promotion at the first time of asking.
This is what he does!
Despite that, the board have decided against upgrading our facilities.
Hey, why? Oh, that's why.
So we'll have to go again with the exact same squad and club. And Yilmasmåen will look to get double promotion, even though we're predicted to be dead last. Yeah. Good luck. We start away to newly relegated side Hatayspor, so it's a tough season opener. Both teams started by missing a decent chance, before Tala Bulut scored with his deflected finish in the 31st to get us the lead. A denied pen for us, an offside goal for them, and an incredible save from their goalie meant it ended in a 1-0 win for us. A great start. Kocaelispor at home is next. And yep, that is the name of the club. Kocaelispor. Denizli had his effort blocked 7 minutes in. But 6 minutes later, he did this. Oh my days. Literally nothing happened until the 78th, as they equalized. So we draw 1-1. Next was the Turkish railway club, Adana Demirspor. So let's make them catch a train out of here. 22 players walked onto the pitch, and 17-year-old Denizli scored, just like usual. But the train conductor Saban scored to equalize right after. A post hit from Ishak followed, before they scored what might just be the worst goal I've ever seen. Typhoon shot off of Burak Efe, and then it went in off the post and just past Çelik. So 2-1 it is. Oh, but wait, there's a highlight in the 89th. Akkar plays a beautiful pass to Kerem, who plays it to Enes, and he squares it for Denizli to tap in. Let's go! So we get a great 2-2 draw with newly relegated Adana Demirspor, only to throw it all away in a 3-0 loss to Yeni Malatyaspor. And a 2-0 loss to whatever that team is. Gençler Birliği. Despite going 1-0 down to Adanaspor as well, we hit back and scored 3 straight through Denizli, Burak Efe and Ekmen to get a 3-2 win. Another former Super League side is next, in Alanyaspor. As nothing happened in the first half, we finally saw some action as we took the lead through Erdogan. Another header followed, this time from Metahan. We then conceded a pen, as Carlos Eduardo was pushed. Up stepped Rony Lopes, but Çelik saves! Only to concede 10 minutes later. But we got the win either way, a great result. A nice comeback win against Erzurumspor followed, as Ekmen got a goal and an assist. For once, we took the lead in the game, as Denizli scored 15 minutes in. But we conceded 15 minutes later, and again in the 48th, because of Gökhan wanting to play some volleyball. 2 good chances missed later, we actually managed to score again, this time through Burak Reis. So we once again get a nice draw. As we drew 2-2 with Sakaryaspor as well, we're in 7th after 10 games. We've actually done a lot better than I expected, so we'll look to get one of the playoff spots in the end. Away to Ankaraspor was a game of luck for us. We got the lead 25 minutes in thanks to Tala, but more thanks to luck honestly. 4 minutes after they had equalized, Ekmen was tripped up. So it's a penal for us. Denizli stepped up and he slotted it to get the win. A great run of form, which just continued. We ran all over Istanbulspor as we won 3-1 thanks to a brace from our man Denizli. But we then lost. Badly. Thankfully that was in the cup. And we go back to the league to keep our run of form going. Huh? We didn't? Nope. We lost 3-1 to Manisa. And to Pendikspor.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. in big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
Those losses were mostly down to all three of our starters in attack being on international duty, as Denizli, Ekman and Haidar all got called up to Turkey under-18s. I am happy for them, but it would be nice if we could just not be in the middle of our season. With our attackers back, Haidar scored the opener against Ahmetspor from Denizli's assist 17 minutes in. And at the half-hour mark, Denizli got tackled in their box, and the man himself banged in the pen. And then our third attacker also scored, just 3 minutes after Denizli's goal. After a consolation goal for them, as well as a goal from Burak Efe, we win 4-1 against Ahmetspor to bounce back. Denizli continued his form against whatever that team is called. I'm not even gonna try. He scored 1 from open play and 1 from the spot, with a banging finish once again. But we then lost 2-0 to Fatih, as the washed-up Prem player Wesley Moraes scored both. And that means we're still in 7th. But only 3 points up to 3rd means we still have a great chance of getting up the table. The youth intake preview is here, and I'll sum it up real quick. The game has called it a golden generation though, but I think that says more about the level already in our squad than it does about the players coming through. For the second half of the season, we went on a run. 5 straight wins, loads of goals, at least in some games, and 15 points. 3-2 against Kocaelispor in a great comeback as Ekman, Denizli and Ekman again got our goals. We then lost our way to a 1-0 win over Hatayspor as we scored from a corner. An easy 2-0 win over the Train Club as Tala scored and did a Bellingham.
Belly goal! Belly goal!
Denizli also scored this great goal, by the way. We then got our revenge on Yeni Malatyaspor as we once again only scored once. And finally, another nice comeback win as we beat Gençler Birliği 2-1. We then started drawing. A lot. We should really be playing Draw My Thing instead, because we're just too good at drawing. 1-1 against Adanaspor as they got a bullshit pen in the 83rd. 1-1 with Alanyaspor as they equalized after we scored 2 minutes in. And finally 2 0-0 draws with Erzurumspor and Çorum respectively. And then we lost. 2-1 to Sakaryaspor. They got an early pen, which just isn't inside the box. They then doubled it in the 35th. And as we only managed to get 1, we lost. The youth intake is here, and we actually have 4 elite talents. A goalie in Fethi Evren, a striker in Erkan Bayindir, and 2 DMs in Hüseyin Güven and Gökhan Bozdag. We desperately need a centre back though, so we'll have to wait to get an out-and-out centre back. But I am going to convert Hüseyin into a centre back because of his height, and he does actually have some okay attributes as well.
Get out! My eyes are bleached! Get that away from me!
After a drawing spree and a loss as well, we finally win a game again. We humiliate Ankarspor 4-0 as we scored all 4 in one half. Ekman, Kerem and Denizli ×2 got the goals. But now our key players left again, as Denizli left to the Turkey under-18s, Ekman to the U19s and Umut Şahin got called up to the under-21s. He's 16, bro. Wow. But because they've left, we obviously lost against Istanbulspor. 2-0 as Amir Khan scored both. But we did actually manage to win 2-1 against Manisa without them back. Ekman and Tala got the goals, as we're now in 4th with 4 games to go. We're tied on points with Istanbulspor, a point ahead of Çorum and Ahmetspor, and 2 points ahead of Pendikspor, who we're facing next. So we have to win that game. And by the way, if we get 3rd, then we get straight into the playoff final. But if we get any of the other playoff spots, then we're 3 games away from the Super League. Our international duty lads have returned, and we're facing Pendikspor. 11 minutes in, Tala scored with this brilliant finish after a nice 1-2 between him and Haidar. A great save from Çalek followed, before they equalized in the 36th. Right after a break though, we scored to take the lead again, but 2 minutes later they scored again. I then brought on one of our youth players from this year's intake, Erkan Bayindir. He only needed 8 minutes on the pitch before scoring to get us the win. And it's a brilliant finish as well. 8 minutes on the pitch. Fucking hell. And he's actually broken Serhat Akar's youngest goalscorer record as well, by just 4 days. And we did all of that just to get stolen from in the next game. Armies absolutely stole a 1-0 win as Batuhan Tour scored this. We had a penalty call which should have been a pen, but the ref said denied. So we lost 1-0. And we've now got the team that is impossible to pronounce. And we concede 4 minutes in. We then equalized 10 minutes later, before they took the lead back 10 minutes after that again. In the 65th though, we finally put together a good team attack, which ended with Burak FA scoring. And right after Dembele had hit a bar for them, we went up the other end and scored through Haidar. Dembele then proceeded to miss another big chance, so we win so undeservedly 3-2 after an incredible late comeback. Another great comeback followed in the final game. They took the lead early, but Nicholas Lawrence didn't want to play anymore, so he tackled Akar like this. It took a while, but we scored in the 64th through Erdogan, and then again in the 89th through Akar to get an important win. But we miss out on third place by a single point, as Istanbulspor won against Gençler Birliği. So now we've got Ahmetspor in the quarterfinal of the promotion playoff. Our boy wonder Denizli hadn't scored in God knows how many matches, but against Ahmetspor he finally turned up again. He scored a tap-in, a Panenka pen, and a nice finish from open play to make it a great 3-1 win and make sure we advanced to the semi. Before that though, Erdogan twisted his ankle in training, so we're without our captain. The first leg of the semi-final we conceded early, like so many times before. Denizli then proceeded to miss a pen, and his replacement Erkan Bayindir missed a huge chance as well. Haidar finally scored for us though, to equalize. So we get a 1-1 draw to take back to Malatya. The start of the second leg was a nightmare. They had the kickoff and had a highlight straight from it. And Ali Akman scored the most outrageous goal I've seen. He's just scored a fucking volley over Çelik into the top corner, 49 seconds in. What the fuck? Denizli then missed a big chance 10 minutes in, before we had a penalty shout not go our way. Shock. 25 minutes into the second half though, Suleiman had had enough for the day, and smashed into Haidar to get a straight red.
Do you know what? What I might do is I might smash into somebody, just to make me feel better.
But then Akar didn't want to be any worse, so he too got a straight red, just a minute later. And only 11 minutes after coming on. His girlfriend must have texted him right before he came on, saying she was home alone. And 4 minutes later, they scored again. Ali Akman scored again. But 10 minutes later, Haidar scored with a nice finish to give us some hope. And 3 minutes later, Emir Khan went on a great run, before playing it to Burak FA, who scored with a brilliantly placed finish. It's 2-2. And it's going to extra time. What a comeback! 4 minutes into extra time, Haidar got tackled in their box, so we potentially get a pen. And it's not a pen. Shock once again. But that doesn't matter, as Kerem scored 5 minutes later with a brilliant run and finish. So we win 3-2 to get into the final. That game literally had everything. 2 red cards, 2 unsuccessful penalty calls, and 5 goals. It's time for the final.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
We started by missing a sitter 9 minutes in. Musa then hit the post for a free kick for them, before Denizli scored with a nice finish after a brilliant first touch. The second half was all about defending, and Çelik made sure we did just that with this save. And then Mehmet missed this. So we win 1-0 to get promoted to the Super League! Double promotion without signing a single player, only using our youth academy. Burak Yilmasmåen has once again done the unthinkable. Maybe he wasn't that crazy at the start of the season. Denizli got top scorer once again, and Haidar got top assister this time. Umut Şahin has developed into a Super League standard player, and the team actually looks really good. Except for our midfield and our captain at centre back. With Yeni Malatyaspor back at the top level, could Burak Yilmasmåen manage his side to another astonishing season?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe f yourself.
Well, It would be hard when the board keeps rejecting improvements to our facilities while our finances are actually fine. And when all our players are demanding new contracts when we have less than half of the budget of the next smallest team. And loads of people have got wage rises. Well, I can't complain. I got one too. As expected, the season preview has us in last, with 1,000 to 1 odds of winning the league. So it's gonna be a tough season. But then again, that is better odds than when Leicester won the Prem. To start our first season back in the Super League since 2022, we've got Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce, away from home. They started best, as Rodrigo Becao missed this chance early, before they scored this header over Çalek. In the 23rd, Jiku handled the ball in the box, so we got a pen, and Denizli missed! Not long into the second, Akar played a nice pass into Denizli, who decided to shoot from long range, despite having a completely open channel to run into. And as Dzeko scored this header in the 66th, we lost 2-0 to Jose Mourinho.
I'm fantastic.
Against Igdir, we went 1-0 down early once again. But we scored basically straight from kickoff, as Akar played this great pass through to Denizli, which I was convinced was offside, but thanks to their left back, it wasn't. So Denizli scored with a nice finish. And straight from kickoff, he scored again, this time from Ekman's nice pass through. We made our day even better, as Ekman scored as well, from Akar's brilliant pass through. And after a consolation goal for them, we won 3-2 to get our first win and £54,000 apparently. You actually get 54k for every win in the league, and 27k for every draw. The third game, we somehow only managed a 1-1 draw, despite being a man more for half an hour. They scored first through Coyote. And then Akar equalized for us in quite a dull game. Against Göztepe, we had another disappointing game. They scored early in the second, before their goalie somehow saved this. They then doubled it in the 64th. And as we only got one goal, we lost 2-1. The next game, I was expecting a game of football, like usual. But we decided to play bloody ping pong. Bunyamin, on his debut in the starting 11, hit the bar 27 seconds in, and then scored 5 minutes in. Denizli then did some voodoo shit to get their centre back to back off, so he could score with a nice finish. Emirkan then conceded a pen, which bloody Pushkas scored. So I naturally berated Emirkan and took him off. And then Erdogan just stopped running, so Pushkas scored again. And then, right before the interval, we got a pen for a tackle on Bunyamin, which was clearly outside the box, and Denizli scored it. After the ping pong, nothing happened in the second half, so we win 3-2 against Bodrum. Burak Yilmasmåen has just been offered a new contract, but rather than accepting it straight away, he wanted a bit more job security, and a bit more money to spend on new weights for his gym. So he demanded a bit more money, which they declined and said f*** to. A dull 1-0 win over Kocaelispor followed the contract debacle, as Denizli once again scored. We then played Eyüpspor, a game I thought we should win, but they scored 3 goals in 3 minutes. They literally scored in the 36th, 37th and 38th. What the fuck?
It's time to go!
We started our game against Gençler Birliği with a double crossbar hit 5 minutes in. Thankfully, Denizli scored half an hour later from Haydar's nice low cross. But then Şahin pushed his man in our box, so Popa scored the pen to equalize. We too got a pen, as Duran was tackled, but Denizli managed to miss another pen. So we draw 1-1 with Gençler Birliği, as we only managed to score once from 2.78 XG. The Arsenal boss, Xabi Alonso, has just been spotted at the Malatya Stadium.
What are you doing here? And not in a racist way.
He's apparently here to watch Umut shine, so they'll probably come and pick him up in a few months. But he's just conceded a pen, so that's no worry, haha. Before our big game against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Besiktas, Ekman fractured his upper arm in training, so he's out for 4 to 5 weeks. I'll leave you be to watch the highlights against Besiktas.
Ollie's lit the wheel, man. He's doing it. He's doing his thing at the back.
That should have been the closing. I should have let you do it tonight.
And then we lost 2-0 to Samsunspor as well. So we're in 12th after 10 games. It's actually a decent start, and better than I expected, to be honest. Then followed another horror show, this time against Trabzonspor. But finally, after changing the tactics to a way more defensive one, in the 5-2-3, we win a game again. 3-0 against Gaziantep in a great performance. Ekman, on his return from injury, scored once, and Denizli scored the other two. Against Konyaspor, they hit the post 24 minutes in through Ufuk. Or should I say, ooh, Fuk. I hit the post. They then scored as Shine tackled the ball to them. But we equalized not long after, through Denizli. Chalik then wanted to have some fun, so he took the piss out of their effort. Their goalie pulled off some actual saves though, and some insane ones at that. And then they scored 2 late goals, which were both so annoying, to get a 3-1 win. The youth intake preview is here now though, and God has heard our prayers, cause we have an A at centre back. But the rest of it is once again A KG affair with Sivasspor was next, as Kerem scored the only goal of the game in the 89th. In the next game, the Ekman-Denizli duo really turned up. Denizli got a hat-trick, and all 3 of them were technically from Ekman's assists. It's time for the presidential elections, and maybe we could see a change of scenery and some new facilities at that. But no, Yahya Çelik has once again won it, and he's not investing. But he has given me a new contract at least. I wanted an extra year though. So they rejected it once again. Hussein wanted to protest that for some reason. So he got a straight red 24 minutes in against Rizespor. So he lost 3-0. Against Ankaragucu, Kadewere opened the scoring 4 minutes in. Their goalie then saved a tap-in from Denizli. Before Erdogan was slower than a snail in his race with Kadewere, so he scored again. We finally scored through Denizli after a nice team attack. But then Ekman missed a huge chance. Before we got a pen in the 65th, which Denizli somehow misses again. I need to take him off pens, man. We then considered a pen, as Yigit pushed his man, so Kadewere made the humiliation complete, as he got his hat-trick. Despite a consolation goal from Kerem, we lost 3-2. Arsenal have now made multiple offers for Umut Şahin, and they are laughable. I'm gonna demand at least 7 million for him, and I know he's worth a lot more. I obviously declined the offers from Arsenal, as they're insulting. So Shine came into my office himself, and I said I couldn't let him go for less than 8 million. And he accepted. Brilliant! Against Galatasaray we got absolutely cooked. Chanelson, who somehow ended up there instead of at Hamburg, real ones know, scored 10 minutes in. Then Akar wanted to enjoy the scenery. So he stood there with nothing but his in his hand and watched as Chanelson took the ball and scored. They then scored once more to make it a 3-0 humiliation.
Champion Galatasaray.
After that humiliation, 3 Premier League teams in Arsenal, Man City and Spurs all came in with an 8 million offer for Umut Şahin. So the board have actually gone in and accepted it. And all 3 clubs have actually offered him to us on loan till the end of next season. So that's actually quite a good deal. So Umut Şahin will probably leave for the Prem. Against Başakşehir, we actually had a great performance. Haydar and Denizli scored 1 each to get a 2-0 win against one of the bigger clubs in Turkish football. And that means we're 13th at the halfway point. It's actually quite good for our first season back at the top level. And I'm very confident we're staying up. The 20th league game, we lost completely deservedly 2-0 as we just struggled. I mean, just look at this from Hussein and Akar.
Are you dumb?
But against Jose's Fenerbahce, we didn't. Nothing actually happened until the 75th, as Jose parked his famous bus. The thing that happened though was that Szymanski missed his good chance. But in the 87th, we put together a brilliant counterattack, which was finished off by Kerem. In the 93rd, we got a free kick, which was so poorly delivered from goalscorer Kerem, so they put together a counterattack of their own. And despite Ferhat absolutely clipping down Karwina, they managed to equalize. So a 1-1 draw with José's Fenerbahce. It's a great result, but it would have been so good to win it. Umut Şahin has now officially signed for Arsenal and will leave in the start of June, but come back on loan.
Loans, loans, loans.
It's a sad departure, but it's an offer that couldn't be turned down, to be honest. His departure does also allow us to re-sign key players on bigger contracts. We actually get some decent momentum from the draw with Fenerbahce, as we win 3-1 against Antalyaspor thanks to goals from Haidar, Umut Şahin and Ignosi. We then stole a 1-1 draw with Göztepe as Erdogan got our goal, before winning 1-0 against Bodrum thanks to Ekman's goal. And then we lost 3-0 to Kocaelispor. So we're still in 13th after 25 league games. At this point, I decided to sell Kerem. He moved to Fatih for 150k as he'd been so underwhelming since the start, so it makes sense to move him on. Against Eyüpspor, we took the lead late on, through Ekman, but we then managed to concede in the 90th, as we couldn't even keep a clean sheet for 5 minutes. We then expectedly won 2-0 against Gençler Birliği after goals from Ekman and Ignosi, before managing a brilliant 0-0 draw with Besiktas to get at least a competent result against the big side after the 7-1 thrashing earlier in the season. But after the game, Solskjaer announced to the press that he wanted to sign our winger Haidar, so I replied with this. The youth intake has just come through, and we have not just one, but 2 brilliant centre-back prospects. One left-footed in Alperen Kalafat, and one right-footed in Yusuf Akarslan. So these 2 lads might just be our centre-back pairing for the foreseeable future. We also have a decent-looking striker in Omurkan Unlu. Bloody hell, do you want any more special effects in your name? Otherwise, there's not a lot to write home about, unfortunately. We then drew 2-2 with Samsunspor in a game we actually deserved to win. Haidar scored 50 seconds in, and the same man scored again in the 65th. In the 30th game, we somehow lost 4-1 to Trabzonspor, as they scored 4 from 1.15 xg. How? That means we're in 12th of the 30 league games, and we're safe from relegation and won't get into Europe. So I'll just say the rest of the results real quick. A deserved 2-0 loss to Gaziantep, a 2-2 draw with Konyaspor as we threw away our 2-goal lead, a 2-1 win over Sivasspor thanks to an incredible start to the game, a 2-2 draw with Kayserispor as Akarslan scored to become the Super League's youngest ever goalscorer, an undeserved 4-1 loss to Rizespor, a deserved 2-0 loss to Ankaragucu, a great 3-3 draw with Galatasaray, and finally a 2-0 loss to Başakşehir. So we finished 14th in our first season back at the top level, which is rather encouraging, to be honest. Now you're probably wondering, where's the cup? Well, we went on a run. We just about won 3-2 against third-tier side Osmaniyespor as Ignosi had to score a hat-trick, with the final one coming in 120th minute to make that win happen. We then once again just about won, this time 2-1 against Kırşehir thanks to Haidar scoring the winner in extra time. We then won 1-0 against Afyonspor thanks to Kerem's goal, so we're through to the quarterfinal after only beating lower-tier sides. And we've now got Super League side Ankaragucu. We took the lead 7 minutes in through the Ignosi, which made me think it would be a walk in the park. But it wasn't. They didn't get the equalizer before the 77th though, but as they did, it went to extra time. In the 99th, Erdogan shot straight at their goalie from 4 yards out to miss a huge chance. 4 minutes later, however, Kohli got his second yellow for pushing Haidar, so they're down to 10 men. Straight from kickoff in the second half of extra time, Haidar hit both posts, but it was called offside. And then in the 109th, Erdogan cleared the ball, but the ref blew for a pen because of Umut Şahin pushing his man. Why? So Kadewere scored it to get them the win and a place in the semi-final. And with that, our season is over. It was an encouraging season though, as Ignosi claimed the top scorer title once again. He also got named as the 39th best wonder kid in the world. Umut Şahin has developed into a leading Super League player, and he's leaving for Arsenal in a few days. before coming back on loan. Chalik has kind of stalled in his development, and I might try to use Cemil Bayram permanently instead, but we'll see. Serhat Akar has developed nicely and will hopefully continue growing, while Duran Aydogmus has developed insanely quick. He only started playing a lot this season, and he's shot up from a 1.5 star to a 3.5. Both Haidar and Ekman have developed into decent Super League players according to the game, and they are seriously important to this club now. And finally, Alperen Denizli has developed into a good Super League player. I mean, that's obvious to be fair. He's the top scorer in the entire league. But can we keep hold of him? It's gonna be a real challenge, with Premier League sides sniffing around.
It's over for José Mourinho. Mourinho is no longer the coach after the recent disappointing results.
You're getting sacked in the morning.
As for us, with our 14th place finish, we've managed to re-sign Alperen Denizli on a huge new contract. He's signed until 2031 on 20k a week. That's half of what we're spending on wages in total.
Go to WWE.com and register. I wonder what $1 million even smells like. Hey.
Otherwise, Umut Şahin has officially been sold to Arsenal, and we've got our 8 million from it. And the board have said, I'm not sure why such an important player was sold. As if they weren't the ones who did it. What are you on? But with that money, the board have finally decided to improve the youth and training facilities.
Thank you, Jesus!
And just 9 days after saying no to an improvement to the youth recruitment, the board called me into their boardroom to discuss just that. So they've improved that as well. As the players came back from holiday, I did a team meeting like usual.
Please, why can't we just forget all about it?
And let's just say it didn't go as planned. And in addition, Umut Şahin, who's here on loan now by the way, was spotted leaving a nightclub in the early hours of the morning. Right after getting that Premier League money, he decides to lose all respect for his boyhood club and just do what he wants.
He does what he wants!
Before starting the season, I took the decision to strip Erdogan of the captaincy and make Denizli our club captain. Erdogan naturally came waddling into my office. I just said Denizli was a better fit as captain, and he just accepted it. You can do that? As we're last in a season preview again, I decided to change the tactic to a 4-2-4. It's probably very stupid, and will probably concede loads of goals, but I wanted to try a 2-striker formation. And it worked brilliantly in the season opener against Göztepe. We smashed them 3-0, as Yigit, Denizli and Omurkan got a goal each. In the second league game, we'd be going to Jose's home. Except it wasn't his home anymore. But they did win 6-1 against Samsunspor in their opening game, so they're not messing about. A woodwork hit for both Haidar and Denizli was how we opened the game, before Ekman pulled it back for Duran to tap in. Duran! 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 Duran is on my mind and he's Yeni's fine dined. The man that rivals Omurkan for most special effects in his name, Soyuncu, then scored a header from a corner for them. And in the second half, Livakovic pulled off 2 good saves to keep it at 1-1, and that was the final result. That's actually a really good result for us. Against Pendikspor, we left Thomasson wide open, so he scored this rebound. Denizli then equalized right after the interval, but we then conceded a pen 2 minutes later, which Bekir scored to get them the win. An incredible team passing move followed in the next game, as Haidar scored to give us the lead 2 minutes in. They then scored what seemed an awful lot like offside to equalize, and then scored again straight from kickoff, because of Emir Khan diving into a tackle. We got a pen 8 minutes later, which Denizli scored, before they scored again, through Bayram's legs. Once again though, right after the interval, we managed to equalize, through Haidar. So as Demeli missed this big chance in the 87th, it ends in a 3-3 draw after a crazy game.
What just happened?
Another insane first half came against Konyaspor. They scored 7 minutes in because Duran missed his tackle. We then equalized and took the lead through Hussein and Denizli, before they equalized in the 44th through Nair. We got a pen in the 50th, which Denizli missed. He missed the entire goal. How? And 5 minutes later, he missed this. Again, How? When we needed a goal, he couldn't provide. But in came a different lad. Bunyamin came on and scored this incredible banger in the 91st to get us the win. What a time to pop up. Akarslan got injured before our next game, so Kalafat had to come into the starting 11. He conceded a pen. Cemil Bayram saved it though, but Kalafat would do more harm. He defended poorly as Ayberg scored for Igdir in the 81st. We got a corner in the 92nd though, so we have a chance. Umut Şahin crosses it to Cemil Bayram, who fucking scores an incredible header. Our goalkeeper has just fucking scored. So he saves us from embarrassment with a penalty save and a goal. I've never had that happen, ever. Despite our goalkeeper scoring, we didn't get any momentum from it whatsoever. We lost 2-0 to Gaziantep as Yigit got an own goal. We then only managed a 1-1 draw with Istanbulspor before losing 2-1 to Galatasaray as we got robbed of a pen. Somehow we also lost to second-tier side Boluspor in the cup, before only managing a 2-2 draw with Kocaelispor. And that was because of Ferhat stepping up when he should be man-marking Alio Traore. So we're out of the cup and we're 15th after 10 games. And despite having 6 players good enough for a national team call-up, we couldn't win a fucking game.
I just hope we can win a game.
It might be a bit on me as well though, as the 4-2-4 clearly hasn't worked. So I've reverted to our 5-2-3 system, which sort of worked against Başakşehir. We conceded early before the Nisli scored from Duran's nice pass through, and then a tap-in the 72nd to get us the lead. But Piatek scored for them to make it a 2-2 draw. We then stole a 1-1 draw against Trabzonspor, as Haidar scored with his nicely placed finish late on. Guess what we did in the next game? It's gonna come as a shock. We drew. 1-1 against Rizespor because Olawoyin scored this outrageous goal. And then we lost 2-1 to Antalyaspor. What's going on, man? Against Samsunspor, Akar made my heart go into my mouth with this move. He played it straight to their striker. Thankfully, he missed. 6 minutes later, Duran won the ball from a poor pass, and he scored on a half-open goal. Duran! He then scored again in the 57th from Ekman's brilliant pass. 6 minutes after that though, we conceded as our defense was all over the place. And just 2 minutes later, we conceded again. We've lost our 2-goal lead in as many minutes. And to top it all off, Amur Khan lost his head and got a straight red. We've now gone 10 games without winning. And 11 if you count the cup. We've got the youth intake preview now though, but that too is shit. We have got an A at DM, but otherwise it is a steaming pile of shite. We've now got dead last Kayserispor. If we can't win this, then we can just pack it in for the season. After a couple decent saves from their goalie, we got a pen as Duran was pushed. And Nisli finally scores. Right after the break, Duran doubled it with his incredible first-time finish. Duran! And as Yigit scored this header as well, we win 3-0 to get our first win in what feels like years.
Finally!
Only to throw it away in a 2-0 loss to Kasim Pasa. Because of Amr Khan, who's just returned from his suspension. Because of Ekman getting injured for 2 to 3 weeks, I've decided to alter the tactics slightly. I changed to a 2-striker formation and without a left wing. So Erkan is alongside Denizli and I'll be training Ekman as a right winger. The only bright spot in our team at the moment is Duran, who's just won the Player of the Month for December. Our new tactics sort of worked. We created loads, but only scored once, through Denizli. That was enough to get us the win though, and we kept that going as we traveled to Istanbul and Oli Gunnar's Besiktas. Noppert made 2 huge saves before Denizli missed the sitter. They then had a couple of good chances, which were squandered as well. But in the 77th, we put together a brilliant team attack, finished off by the earlier scapegoat Amr Khan. And just 4 minutes later, we scored again. Hussein played a great ball over the top to Haidar, who crossed it for Erkan to tap in, but then Al-Musrati scored a header. But we held on to win against Besiktas. Out of all the teams to win against, we chose bloody Besiktas.
Hello amigo, how are you? Come to Besiktas.
That means though that we're in 12th halfway. 2 games ago we were in 17th and on the brink of a relegation fight. There's 3 points down to relegation, but only 3 points up to 7th as well, so it's extremely tight. Back to the league, we got hammered 3-0 by Fenerbahce as fucking Fred had a masterclass against us. Fred.
Fred? Yeah, Fred was... sure, but I really...
One of the dullest games followed, as Göztepe took advantage of our only mistake at the back to get a 1-0 win. We hit back though, with a 2-1 win over Pendikspor. Dynasty scored after a great counter-attack, before we got away with 2 potential penalties against us. Hussein then scored this banger. Hussein this. Ba 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 ba. Against Ankara Gucu, we took the lead 32 minutes in after some brilliant quick passing.
Tiki-taki, tiki-taki.
They then scored a rebound, where Erkan scored this good header from Akar's even better cross to get us the 2-1 win. The following game, we went 1-0 down since no one wanted to challenge Lawrence in the air. Straight from kickoff though, Denizli scored from Haidar's cross. Before the interval, we scored to take the lead through Erkan's brilliant header from Duran's cross. But as we conceded in the 59th, we drew 2-2. Against Igdir, Çelik put in a very solid application for worst goalkeeping performance ever, as he somehow let this go in. Thankfully, Haidar made up for him in the 10th, with this nice finish. Çelik then continued as he started, as he let this in. Straight at him. Once again. In the second half, we got a bit of luck too. Akar scored with this deflected finish, before the same man played this incredible pass through 2 defensive lines, and Amr Khan scored from that with this great finish to get us the 3-2 win. 13 minutes in against Gaziantep, Denizli went on a serious solo run before squaring it to Arkan. They equalized not long into the second, before Ekman went on a run to get us a penal, and Denizli scores it. So we win again, only to draw 1-1 with f***ing Istanbulspor. They scored from a backheel assist as well. What the hell, man? The youth intake is here. And it's pretty shit. We have 2 decent looking prospects, in right winger Mehmet Keskin and DM Abdullah Salemes. Otherwise, it's pretty shite to be honest. A positive though is that after completing the upgrade of our training and youth facilities in November, the board have now said yes to upgrading them again. It'll be completed in August for the start of our next season. Next up is Galatasaray away. They're currently leading the league by 18 points, so hopefully they can feel a bit of a weaker team against us. But no, they've literally put out the strongest side they have. We kept them away for a long time, as they kept missing chances, Çelik kept saving, or they scored offside goals. But they broke the deadlock in the 77th, as Yunus Akgün scored, so naturally I changed to a slightly more adventurous version. And then this happened. Literally straight after doing so, they scored twice more. So we got smashed 3-0. Against Kocaelispor, we got robbed by the refs. Before their equalizer in the 77th, our midfielder Solemes got blatantly pushed, but they let the play go, and Kocaelispor scored from it. So we drew 1-1. To make things even worse, Emir Khan missed the entire ball against Başakşehir, so they opened the scoring. 2 minutes later though, Haidar scored this incredible header. Right before the interval, Denizli scored with an easy finish as the tackle on his strike partner went straight to him. The same man scored again in the 64th, a tap-in from Shahin's low cross. And then he scored again in the 69th.
Nice.
Akar played this great pass to Haidar, who volleyed it into Denizli, who volleyed to score. And in the 78th, Haidar got his second of the night. So we humiliate Başakşehir 5-1. What a performance! That brilliant win means we're in 10th with 8 games to go. There's only 2 points up to 6th, and 7 points up to 5th, a European place. So could we perhaps sneak our way into Europe? No. No, we couldn't. We actually started April well, with a 2-2 draw with Trabzonspor after Ömer Khan got a brace. But then we collapsed. We initially took the lead against Rizespor after a great run from Umut Şahin. But then we quite literally gave them the 1-1 goal and the 3-1 goal. The 2-1 goal is fair play though. I mean, we can't really do much about that. The 2-1 loss to Antalyaspor followed, despite having nearly double their XG. And finally, we got hammered 3-0 by Samsunspor as Denizli f***ed us by snapping someone's legs in the 48th. The start of May wasn't great either, as we drew 1-1 with last place Kayserispor. We then smashed Kasimpasa and Eyüpspor 3-0, as Denizli and Erkan did incredibly well together. And finally, we lost 2-0 to Besiktas in a poor performance. So we finished 10th in another good season. It's an improvement on last year's 14th place finish, but it's actually only 7 points better. So it's clearly gonna be a long, slow grind to the top. Denizli has kept scoring, as he's got 21 goals in 38 games, and therefore second place alongside Enesiri on the top scorer list. Erkan and Omurkan have developed nicely and have got some big valuations on them, so they're probably gonna get really good. Buran has slowed down in his development though. After an incredible period in November and December, he just went cold. Our defenders, however, have done brilliantly. Akarslan has developed into a first league standard player and will just continue. Just have a look at the upwards arrows. Kalafat, who's been out on loan for half the season, has developed slightly, while Hussein has developed incredibly. He's improved to a Super League standard player and is actually wanted by both Roma and Manchester United. So it's gonna be tough to keep a hold of him. Yigit is leaving now as well, so Kalafat will have to take his spot in the team whether he's ready or not.
Oh, jeezy pips, man.
It's the season of sacking apparently, as Solskjaer is done at Besiktas.
Couldn't care less.
A third place finish got him the sack, a year after Jose. The club have given Burak Yilmasmåen an interview though, and he's gonna take it. No. Don't worry, it's not like he's actually going there. He's just taking the interview to waste their time. I told them I don't want to work with their director of football and would need a lot more money to get the job done.
Oh, no, hang on. I've just realised.
What?
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
They ended up not giving me the job offer. But I really like the idea of a manager taking an interview with their rivals just to waste their time. As for our board, they keep projecting improvements to our youth recruitment and junior coaching budget. So it's gonna be tough to get further up the table, as we're also dead last in the season preview once again. And it's not gonna be easier when Yigit is leaving for Samsunspor, but apparently he left 127 years ago. And when Galatasaray come in with a laughable offer for Denizli, which makes our captain very angry. I said to him if he'd let me develop a few players, we can qualify for Europe, but he just said he can't leave his career in the hands of kids. So I say I can't let him leave for less than 20 million. He says no, and we leave it there. So our captain is pissed off, and now 3 new players come marching into my office to complain about how I handled it with Denizli. Give me a break, man! Time to praise everyone for every little thing they do. Well done for coming on time, Haidar. Thank you for picking up the trash, Duran. Well done on being here, Denizli. As we move into the season opener, the only positive thing is that the training and youth facilities have been upgraded, so hopefully that'll help us this season. We start at home against Antalyaspor, and we open with Omurkan hitting the post after a nice team move. Erkan then missed a decent chance right before the interval, but right after, Soileme scored this outrageous banger off the bar from long range. That was actually the only goal as well, so we open with a win. Against Rizespor we went 1-0 down right before the interval. Nothing happened until the 82nd, as Kalafat played this brilliant ball over the top to Omurkan, who squares it for the angry lad Denizli to tap in. But we conceded in the 90th. A minute later though, Denizli scores again, but it's offside, so we lose 2-1. The 2 young lads who'd taken over for Denizli up top scored 1 each in our next game against Kocaelispor to get a nice 2-0 win.
Who in the blue hell are you?
Against Samsunspor, their strikers missed 2 good chances early on, before we actually took the lead. so against the run of play. Duran was the goal scorer, as he scored this rebound tap-in. A huge block from Hussein followed, before Duran was back at it again. A great passing move with some serious tiki-taki led to Duran scoring with a nice finish. Duran is on my mind and his yen is fine. After they got a consolation goal, Duran decided to end his day slightly early, as he got his second yellow after scoring a brace. What a lad! A horrific first half performance followed against Konyaspor, as we basically let Lawrence, who's become a pain in my ass, score twice. Erkan got a tap in for us to give us some hope, before Denizli decided to ruin our chances by handballing it in our box. So they got a pen, which Prip scored. Another tap in from Erkan wouldn't do much good, as we lost 3-2. After taking the lead through Erkan in the next game, we collapsed and conceded twice before the break. But as Kohli got his second yellow in the 65th, we mounted a brilliant comeback. Erkan scored his second in the 85th, before Amr Khan scored in the 88th to get us the win. So a big thank you to Kohli. The transfer window has now closed, and our boy of wonder Alperen Denizli has decided to stay at the club. The board have also given me a new 3-year contract, so life is good at Yeni Malatyaspor. And even better, Erkan has just won the Player of the Month for September.
Say, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
But it had to stop somewhere, as Bayram has damaged his kneecap and is out for a month, and it would get worse against Galatasaray. They scored this as our defenders just stood there, and then wonder kid Kusi Asare scored this header. An outrageous volley from Omar Khan gave us some hope, and we actually scored again in the 80th. But it was offside, so we expectedly lose 2-1 to Galatasaray. 5 minutes in against Hatayspor, Duran got tackled in their box, so we got a pen, which Omar Khan scored. But at the other end of the game, in the 92nd, we conceded. We only managed a 1-1 draw with Hatayspor, bro. What the hell? And to make it even worse, Amr Khan has just been injured for 2 to 3 weeks. But in the next game, against Trabzonspor, we hit back in brilliant fashion. Denizli got us a pen, which he scored himself. And Bunyamin scored this great volley from Ekman's pullback pass after an incredible solo counter-attack from the latter in the 72nd. So we win 2-0 against Trabzonspor. That's huge. To keep us grounded though, Akarslan has now been injured. He's somehow managed to fall on his face and fractured his cheekbone. So he'll be playing with a mask for the next month. And we all know what happens then. His performances are gonna 3x. We've now got Fenerbahce away. The lad who took over from Jose Mourinho, Ismail Kartal, has just announced his retirement at the end of the season. So let's give him a retirement present before he gets wheeled into the old people's home. We lost 4-0. So that's that, I guess. That means though that we're in 7th after 10 games. We're actually quite competitive against everyone, except Fenerbahce of course. Our losses have been narrow losses, and it shows how far we've come. Before facing Adana Demirspor, we somehow lost to Adanaspor in the cup. Adana Demirspor though have actually bounced back from double relegation with double promotion. That's kinda nuts. We had an incredible opening 10 minutes, as Ekman scored twice, a tap-in and one from an incredible solo run. And as they got a penalty goal, we win 2-1. As Başakşehir's Crespo got a straight red for this challenge on Duran 7 minutes in, we dominated the game. As Erkan and Denizli ×2 got our goals in a 3-1 win. Denizli is finally back.
Hot damn!
Against Igdir, we took the lead in the 85th through Erkan. But we then managed to concede in the 91st, so a 1-1 draw. We then smashed Kasimpasa 5-2, as our strikers had a field day. Denizli got a goal, Erkan got a goal and an assist, and Amr Khan got a brace. But we then got smashed 5-2 by Alanyaspor. Their striker Göktan got a hat-trick in 35 minutes. The youth intake preview is here now though. But it's horror. We have Cs at DM and AM, and otherwise it's just no. Just no. No.
What the f*** is that?
And to make things even worse, Yahya Çelik has once again won the Yeni Malatyaspor presidential elections. He just doesn't want to upgrade anything. So that's actually so annoying. You'll probably call me crazy for doing this, but I'm doing it anyway. I've decided to mold Haidar into a right wingback instead of his right wing position. He's performed rather badly all season, and Ekman has kind of taken his place. So I think he'll be of better use at the wingback position, as Emir Khan is declining and Chirac is struggling to improve. An easy goal from Amir Khan from a loose back pass meant we won 1-0 against Pendikspor. We then lost to Besiktas, a club that's going through managers like a hot knife through butter. They got a late goal to make it a 1-0 win. But we hit back, as Erkan came off the bench to get a brace in 12 minutes against Gaziantep. We then won 1-0 against Ankaragucu thanks to this finish from Demeli in quite a bad performance actually. As we're halfway though, we're in 5th. We've just climbed past Konyaspor as they lost to Galatasaray. And we're also only 3 points off 3rd. What a start to this season. And now I'm genuinely thinking we can get European football. There's now been more fuss in the squad though. I recently lowered the playing time of Abdullah Çalik from important player to cup goalkeeper. So he naturally came into my office furious. I said he's not been in the best form as of late, so I had to lower it. And he just said, yeah, alright, that's fair. I genuinely didn't know that was possible. Roma have also come in with an offer for Hussein. It's a fucking trial though. Who do you think you are?
You're so funny.
They then came in with an actual offer, which is just way too low to even consider letting him go. But Hussein actually didn't get angry, so that's a nice change at least. We started the second half of the season in brilliant fashion, as we won 3 straight. Duran scored this banger against Rizespor to make it a 2-0 win. Duran is on my mind, and Isyan is fine dined. Erkan then got a brace before Amir Khan scored this delightful chip to get us a 3-0 win over Antalyaspor. Before we won 2-0 against Kocaelispor as well, as Erkan and Ekman got 1 each. Against Samsunspor there were no other highlights than these 2 goals, so we drew 1-1. An incredible solo run from Ekman led to Erkan scoring the only goal in our 1-0 win over Konyaspor, before we smashed Istanbulspor 4-1. As Haidar, Erkan, Duran with this banger again.
This is a banger, and I know bangers. I know bangers.
And Erkan again got our 4 goals. We then got dealt 2 big blows, as both Soilemes and Amir Khan got injured in training, and they'll be out for a month. And because of that, we lost 2-1 to Galatasaray in a poor performance. An incredible late comeback followed against Hatayspor, as Haidar got both goals from his right wing-back position. And by the way, he's actually learned it in record pace, as he's now accomplished at the position.
You all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?
But we then lost 3-1 to Trabzonspor, our rivals for the European spots. The youth intakes here though, and that is once again pretty bad. At the top it says it's a golden generation, but on the right it says it's an average intake. The players don't look good though. We have 6 top talents, but no elite talents. So I think that's it, summed up pretty good. We've now got Fenerbahce, our last meeting with Ismail Kartal before his retirement. We concede 2 minutes in, from a corner. Vitally, we get the equalizer right before the interval, and then we get the lead right after. Amir Khan and Ekman got those 2, before Erkan got us a pen, which Amir Khan scored to make it 3-1. So as they only scored once in the 92nd, we shock Fenerbahce to win 3-2 and give Ismail Kartal a very nice retirement gift. After doing all that to beat Fenerbahce, we somehow lose to newly promoted Adana Demirspor. What the hell? That loss means we're in 4th with 8 games to go. We've actually done so well. I'm quite baffled by it, to be honest. We did just lose to Adana Demirspor, but thankfully Antalyaspor lost 2. We smashed Başakşehir 3-0 in the next game, as Amir Khan got the opener before Denizli got himself a brace off the bench. And he continued against Igdir, as he got an assist to Amir Khan and then a goal to make it a 2-0 win. And then we lost, 1-0 to Kasim Pasa of all teams. But we hit back with a 2-1 win over Alanyaspor, as Denizli and Amirkhan keep scoring. Ekman then got our opener against Pendikspor straight after coming on, before they got the equalizer, which cannot go further into the top corner. But up stepped Duran like so many times before. Duran! 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 Duran is on my mind and his yen is fine dined. Ekman then got his second off the bench to secure the 3-1 win. We've now got Besiktas in a game we can secure our place in Europe. We conceded 9 minutes in. But then, 20 minutes in, we turned on beast mode.
Welcome to Beast!
Amirkhan scored a brace in 7 minutes, before Duran scored with this nice finish. Duran! 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 So we smashed Besiktas 3-1 in a great comeback to officially qualify for Europe! And as we won 2-0 against both Gaziantep and Ankara-Gucu, we actually finished third. Trabzonspor lost their final game, so we ended up a point ahead of them. We've qualified for the Europa League phase automatically, and we've overperformed like crazy. Jamil Bayram has performed very well, despite being touted as not good enough for the Super League. All three of our centre-backs have developed like crazy. Both Akarslan and Kalafat are now Super League standard players, while Hussein has become the arguable best player in our team. And he's gonna be seriously difficult to keep this summer. I've converted Haidar into a right wing-back and he's been performing incredibly. Demeli has also developed nicely, but I'm slightly worried he's not gonna continue developing. Soilemes hasn't really developed a lot, but he has a huge valuation, so I think he'll become good. While our favorite Duran has performed nicely this season as well, but hasn't really developed a lot. Ekman's been so inconsistent, despite having the pro of consistency. So that's something he needs to work on. And finally, Amirkhan and Erkan have both developed into incredible strikers and have ended up on the top scorer list. Erkan with 20 goals and Amirkhan with 18. And they've actually played a lot more than a poorly performing Denizli. I'm hoping we can keep a hold of all our players, as we've now qualified for Europe, but it will still be very tough. And it's going to be so difficult combining the league with Europe with this small of a squad.
I'm tired.
The manager of the season winner, Burak Yilmasmåen, has been bombarded with negativeness in the aftermath of last season. Hussein came into my office to say he wants to move to a more ambitious club. I said no, so he's now pissed off. The board also keep rejecting improvements to everything, so it'll be difficult to progress as a club when they do that. And as if that wasn't bad enough, Galatasaray came in with a shameful offer for Hussein, just like they did with Denizli a year ago. I swear Galatasaray are just out for blood. They're trying to make our players force a move out. Well, I'm not having it. About the only positive thing before the season starts is that we're finally out of 20th in the season preview. We're predicted to finish 15th, despite getting 3rd last year. Yeah, that makes sense. Trabzonspor opened this season's ball with an outrageous goal just 2 minutes in, and then doubled it through Mateta in the 29th. We got one back right before the break though, and as Bunyamin got tackled in our box in the 72nd, we got a pen, which Amirkhan scores. So we come back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 in a season opener. Before our huge game against Fenerbahce, 2 of the team leaders of the club have just come into my office. Before 7 in the morning. They apparently want to just give up as a club and make me let Hussein leave. Not on my watch. Now get out so I can sleep in my office again. As for our game against Fenerbahce, we played absolutely horrifically, as we lost 3-0. After the game, their new manager, Çağdaş Atan, came out to say that we need to respect them more. This guy's the new Mourinho, bro.
Respect, man, respect.
Just for qualifying for the Europa League, we've now got a whopping 3 million. So the board have finally decided to upgrade something, the training facilities. A dull game followed against Alanyaspor, as the only goal was this banger from Bunyamin. And against Manisa, we just about won 2-1, thanks to Mehmet Dursun getting a brace on his debut in the starting 11. It's time for Yeni Malatyaspor's very first game in any of the official European competitions. We were in the qualifiers in 2019, but didn't make it through. So it's a big game for the club as we face Rosenborg away. Erkan started by scoring an offside goal 2 minutes in. The rest of the game though, we did everything to hold them off. Bayram saved this, Mothiba hit the bar as he tried lobbing Bayram, and Bruma missed this huge chance in the 90th as he too hit the woodwork. So we rob our way to a 0-0 draw, as they didn't manage to score from 1.84 xg. We then managed to lose 2-1 to Pendikspor, all because of Nekat getting a second yellow in the 38th. And because of that, I brought Demeli on, who broke his lower leg, and is out for 4 to 5 months. That's all on you, Nekat, you idiot.
Are you stupid or something?
A dull game away to Partizan Belgrade followed. We did get the win though, thanks to Amirkan's nice and easy finish. Amirkan kept scoring against Trabzon in the league to give us the lead 2 minutes in. They equalized in the 50th though, through Fillet. We've just conceded to a piece of meat, bro. What the hell? Thankfully though, Denizli scored this header to get us the win. In the next game, against Besiktas, we went 2-0 down in the opening 7 minutes. They then scored again right before the break. Before we too got one right before the break, through Denizli, but they then scored again right after. In the 62nd though, Denizli scored again. And 14 minutes later, he scored again to get his hat-trick. But we couldn't get the equalizer, so Denizli has just scored a hat-trick without winning the game.
Pain.
Nothing happened in the next game, as we drew 0-0 with Ankara Gucu, before I decided to revert to our basics, the 4-3-3 we started this journey with. So Hussein is now playing as an anchor, and we've only got one striker now. That worked wonders. We smashed Igdir 3-0 thanks to goals from Denizli and Ekman ×2. Against Konyaspor, we just about won 1-0 as Denizli went on an insane solo run before crossing it to Ekman to tap in. That win means we're in 6th after 10 games. We're only 2 points off 4th and are definitely within reach of the European spots. After a bit of a tough start, we've now started to pick up some form. Back to Europe, we got absolutely humbled 4-0 by Newcastle's super team. Just look at this team, bro. And then we lost completely deservedly 3-0 against Lille as well. So we'd have to use our team of Mohawk security personnel to get away from the press after that monstrosity. Denizli started our 11th league game by missing a pen, but we did get the win either way, as Erkan got this tap-in the 54th. Before our next game, Hussein has finally come to his senses and has decided he's happy to stay at Yeni Malatyaspor. In our next game though, we went 1-0 down in the 35th, as Boller hit the post and Salina scored a rebound. 10 minutes later though, Duran scored with his heavily deflected finish. Nothing happened until the 92nd, where we put together a nice team attack, finished off by Duran! 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 So we steal a 2-1 win over Antalyaspor as we scored twice from 0.29 xg. Against Kasimpasa, the Turkish version of TikTok, Yasintok, missed a big chance 23 seconds in. Nothing happened until I took off the entire front three, as just a couple minutes later, Haidar scored from Nekat's deflected cross. Denizli then doubled it to make it a 2-0 win 5 minutes later. A late goal from Duran made sure we got the 3 points against Kocaelispor as well, as he did it all himself. Going back to Europe for the final 2 games before Christmas, we win deservedly 2-0 against Viking thanks to this incredible chip from Denizli and an own goal from their defender from Ekman's low cross. And against Karabakh, we took the lead early through Akarslan's towering header. Mustafayev then got a straight red for this challenge on Ekman, but we still managed to concede to them. Haidar then scored this free kick through their wall, before Saleme scored a rebound from Haidar's free kick. But we can't even see the goal. And despite conceding in the 73rd, we held on to win 3-2 against Karabakh. In the 15th league game, we only managed a 1-1 draw with Samsunspor, because of Holse's outrageous long-range free kick. That's our first drop points in 7 games in all competitions. The youth intake preview is here now though, and it's actually something this time. we have a B coming through in central midfield and a C up top. And the club have also given me a new contract, a 4-year deal, so I'm not leaving anytime soon.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Despite going 1-0 down to Risespor 19 minutes in, we came back as we scored 3 goals before the break. Through Taha's own goal, Haidar and 16-year-old Altan Gurgul. They also scored 1 before the break. But as Duran scored with a brilliantly placed finish in the 57th, we won 4-2. Before playing Galatasaray, Okan Buruk, their manager, said he's interested in Hussein. I replied like Ange would. And he said he's struggling in the negotiations when he hasn't even put in a bid. This guy's a serial donut.
You're a donut! You're so stupid! You're so stupid! You're stupid! Dumb!
And now we're playing them, the side we've never managed to beat. 3 minutes in, Solemes missed this decent chance, before Haidar scored with this nice finish in the 10th. Nothing else really happened in the first half, but in the 63rd, Eren missed this big chance as his shot's gone out for a throw-in.
Have it.
Sorachi then hit the post in the 69th, before Bayram pulled off this huge save. And as nothing else happened, we actually win against Galatasaray. That's our first ever win over them, and straight after bantering Okan Buruk as well. That's so funny. The final 2 league games before the halfway point were a mixed bag. We won deservedly 2-0 against Başakşehir as Hussein and Omar Khan got our goals, before we somehow lost 3-1 to Sivasspor on an ice pitch.
Ow, my eyes are bleached! Get that away from me!
That means we're in 4th. We've just dropped down from 3rd and we're now 4 points off Besiktas in 2nd. But we have had an insane run as of late, except the disappointment against Sivasspor. In the January window, Benfica came in with multiple offers for Calafat, which were just way too low, so I declined them. And then I renewed Calafat's contract, even though it couldn't get extended further, just to get them off my back. But then
Internazionale
came in with a loan offer for our other centre-back, Akarslan, and with a mandatory future fee of just 2.4 million. That's laughable. Our next game, we're up against the clear leaders of the league, Fenerbahce. Their new coach, Mr. Respect, has put together an insane campaign up to this point. So let's give him something to worry about. 15 minutes in, that's exactly what Duran did. He scored with a nice finish to give us the lead. Just 4 minutes later, he scored again. He won the ball from their horrific pass to make it 2-0. Duran! 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 In the 55th, Wrench scored with a shit finish which Bayram should be saving. And he's done a Maguire afterwards. He runs and celebrates it. But as nothing else happened, we win 2-1 against Fenerbahce. We've actually won against Mr. Respect. And now he needs to respect us.
Respect. Respect. Respect, man. Respect.
The final 2 Europa League phase games were closer than I'd thought. We took the lead through Duran after a nice team attack. The same man then doubled our lead 10 minutes later. Duran's on fire. Your defense is terrified. Duran's on fire. No 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 no. No. They then scored, but we got our third in the 61st. Before they scored again. We held on to win 3-2 against Lask though. And against Rangers in the final game, we got the lead through Erkan, before they scored late on to equalize. But in the 95th, Burak Yilmasmåen, of all people, scored this tap-in from Haidar's pass to get us the 2-1 win. But we missed out on top 8 by a single point. We ended up with 16 points, and both 7th and 8th ended with 17. 2 disappointing draws followed in the league, as we drew 0-0 with Trabzonspor and 1-1 with Alanyaspor. We then just about won 1-0 against Manisa as Ekman got the only goal, before we once again drew. Another 0-0 game, this time against Pendikspor. We've now got Rosenborg in a Europa League knockout playoff round. The first leg was one of the absolute worst games I've seen from this team. as we lost 3-1, so we have a huge job ahead of us. Nothing really happened in the second leg until the 44th, when Haidar scored with this great finish from Duran's pass through. 20 minutes into the second, we score again, this time through Omar Khan with a brilliant volley, but they then scored straight from kickoff. Not even 10 minutes later though, Omar Khan scored again, another great finish from Duran's deflected cross. In the 95th though, Calafat decided to handle the ball in such an unnecessary situation, literally just to get the ball out for a throw-in, so he's gone and got sent off. It's going to extra time now though, and we stood no chance with 10 men. They scored a whopping 3 goals in extra time, so we're out of the Europa League. And in the next league game, we went down to 10 men again. Nekat got a straight red this time, but thanks to Duran scoring with a brilliant finish off the post, we won 1-0. As for the Turkish Cup, we've actually done brilliantly. We won easily 3-1 against Boluspor as Omar Khan got a brace, before we surprisingly won 2-1 against Besiktas as Erkan got a brace this time. And now we've got Kasim Pasa in the quarters. As if Calafat hadn't done enough damage with his hands already, he does it again.
He's done it again! That is a foul! You little bastard!
So Umut Bozok scored a pen for them in the 87th. But we managed to equalize in the 92nd. Omar Khan scores this tap-in from Erkan's post-it, so it's going to extra time. Right before the break in extra time, Nekat scored with this nice finish. That was enough, so we're through to the semis. But we then lost 3-2 to Besiktas. We actually came back from 1-0 down to make it 2-1, but then conceded twice in the second half to make it 3-2. Thankfully, we did hit back, with a 2-0 win over Ankaragucu as the Nisli got a brace of tap-ins. And now the youth intake is here. And it's actually brilliant. We have an elite midfield talent in Cem Aldogan, who'll hopefully develop into one of the best players at the club. We also finally have a good prospect at right back in Volkan Efe, and I'm genuinely putting him straight into the starting 11. After a glimpse of happiness, it's straight back down to earth, as we went 2-0 down to Igdir. 10 minutes after their second goal, we got one back thanks to Berkan scoring an own goal from Ekman's pass across. And 10 minutes after that again, Ekman shot from just outside their box, which deflected off another one of their defenders and counted as another own goal. So we draw 2-2 with Igdir without scoring a single goal. An insane end to the game followed against Konyaspor, as Erkan scored in the 84th before Volkan Efe scored on his debut. They then scored this banging volley, but we won 2-1 either way. And as we only managed a 1-1 draw with Adana Demirspor because of this banger from Fatih Yildirim, we're in 4th after 30 games. We're a point off Trabzonspor in 3rd and tied on points with Galatasaray in 5th. So it's very tight in the fight for the 2 Europa League spots. Hüseyin has now been called up to the Turkey senior national team for the first time. That's huge. And I've also managed to convince the board to upgrade the youth recruitment, as well as the fact that both Hüseyin and Akarslan have been named on the next-gen list. Life is good at Yeni Malatyaspor, but we then drew 0-0 with Antalyaspor. We hit back in insane fashion though, as we smashed Kasim Pasa 4-0. Omar Khan got the first from the spot, the second with a powerful finish, and then the third from the spot. Oh, he missed. Well, Salemes got our third, and Erkan got the final one. And then we somehow lost 1-0 to Kocaelispor. They scored this, which is just definitely offside. What the fuck? That's a robbery. Against Samsunspor, we were in control for most of the game, as we won 3-2 thanks to a brace and an assist from Omar Khan. Before we beat Rizespor 3-1 because of Nekat of all people, scoring an incredible hat-trick. And then we lost 1-0 to Galatasaray. So if we don't win the cup, then we can wave Europa League football goodbye. In the first leg of the semis against second-tier side Sakaryaspor, we conceded from the spot 3 minutes in. Omar Khan then equalized it for us, before Haidar scored to get us the lead. But we then left 2 men wide open, so they scored from a short free kick in the 87th. And in the second leg, we started as we ended the first. We left a man wide open, so they scored from another short free kick. We then equalized through Nekat, but they got a lead from the spot shortly after the interval. Straight from kickoff, however, Erkan scored this header from Nekat's cross. And then Gurgul scored 5 minutes later to get us the lead. And the win! So we're through to the final! Thanks to a brilliant brace of assists from Aldugan in the 37th league game, we won 3-1 against Başakşehir. Before winning 3-1 against Sivasspor as well. Erkan got a brace and Duran got the final one. But now it's time for the Turkish Cup final. The biggest game in our history, and our first chance of getting a major trophy. The stage is set.
And it's live!
There were literally only 2 highlights, one for each team. We got ours in the 17th, as Erkan scored with his brilliant finish from Ekman's through ball. Their highlight came in the 75th, where Ensar hit the bar with his header. So we win 1-0 against Fenerbahce to win our first ever major trophy! Our academy has produced a Turkish Cup winning side as Denizli lifts the trophy. Our first season in Europe has actually been really encouraging. We've managed to perform at a decent level in the league, while also getting to the knockouts of the Europa League. Burak Yilmasmåen has also become an icon at Yeni Malatyaspor, as we've qualified for the Europa League once again, but this time through the cup. As for the development of our players, Bayram has now developed into a good Super League player, while Akarslan and Kalafat have kept performing this season, without having a crazy development. But they're still very much good enough for the Super League. Our fullbacks are the weak spot in the team, but hopefully they can get better. Hussein is still performing and has signed a new contract this season, while Duran and Soilemes has kept performing as well. Ekman and Haidar have performed quite average. And the same goes for Denizli, Erkan and Amurkan, as our attackers have struggled quite a lot with goal scoring. But we've now finally got a right back from the youth intake in Volkan Efe. And hopefully he can get his breakthrough next season. And the same with Cem Aldugan, who looks like a gem. Haha, pun intended. Just like the last 2 pre-seasons, we've got some squad issues. I rejected bids from Sunderland and Hanover for Bayram, and he got pissed. Once again, just like the last 2 seasons, the team leaders also came into my office to complain. I said they're unprofessional, and they became furious.
Because it's fun! We're having fun!
We do have some positive news though, as Bayram, Akarslan and Duran all got called up to the under-21 Euros. And the board have agreed to upgrade the training facilities, but they've decided against upgrading the youth facilities, as they want me to rely on signing first team ready players. Do they know what we're doing here?
Vlad, are you dumb? Are you getting rude to man?
And Turkey has risen up the coefficients, so the Super League now has 3 Champions League spots. The top 2 qualify directly, while the 3rd place has to go through qualifiers. And we're also 8th in the season preview. That's actually really high, and I genuinely think we're getting close to a title challenge. We start the season by losing 2-1 to Beşiktaş in the Turkish Super Cup final. We took the lead through Haidar, but then conceded twice to Almada. As for the league season, we start by giving away a pen, which shouldn't really be a pen, but Bilal scored it to get Sivasspor the lead. Akarslan then gave them the ball, so they doubled it through Semih Kılıçsoy. We too got a pen, which Aldugan scored, but it was too late, so we lost 2-1. We've now got Galatasaray, a very tough game, and they've sacked their manager Okan Buruk, the guy who's been there since 2022. To replace him, they've hired Javier Garcia Pimenta. There was just a single highlight against Galatasaray. Ekman put together a brilliant solo run 15 minutes in, before playing it to Denizli, who scored. So we get the 3 points against Galatasaray of all teams. Aldugan and Amurcan made sure we got the 2-1 win over Manisa, before Denizli scored the only goal against Samsunspor. We're now heading into Europe, and we're facing Olimpia Ljubljana at home. 2 minutes was all it took to take the lead, as Denizli scored from Duran's low cross. We scored twice more before the break, as Ekman scored with a deflected finish, and Denizli made one of their defenders score an own goal. 4 minutes into the second though, Gergorec scored, and at the 81st, Lukastor scored. We held on though, to open with a win. We then lost. Badly. 3-1 to Igdir of all teams. I think this last goal sums it up pretty well. Bro is so distracted with being furious. And he actually got injured in that game as well, so he's out for 2 to 3 weeks. We did win the next game though, as we smashed AEK Athens 3-0. Gurgul scored this brilliant volley, Aldogan scored this easy goal before scoring again with a nicely placed finish this time. As Bayram has had a few days out with injury, he's had a lot of time to think. And he's decided he's happy to stay. A thriller against Başakşehir followed those good news. Duran gave us the lead in the first half, but Risa Aslan then scored twice in 20 minutes for them. Just 3 minutes after that though, Kalafat scored with his deflected finish. And in the 92nd, Haidar played this incredible pass over the top, which Erkan finished off to get us the 3-2 win. We got the win in the next game as well, as we put together a nice tiki-taki passing move, which was finished off by Altan Gurgur. At this point, I actually managed to convince the board to upgrade the youth facilities, despite them initially rejecting it. And also, Erik ten Hag, who somehow ended up at Toulouse, is apparently interested in signing Hussein.
Please.
Nah, mate. That's not happening. Things have aligned perfectly, and we should have a very good basis to get good results now. But apparently we don't. We draw 0-0 with Kocaelispor, lose 4-1 to Lille as Nonto scored 14 seconds in, draw 0-0 with Konyaspor as well, before getting absolutely hammered by UCL spot rivals Trabzonspor, which means we're in 6th after 10 games. We started quite well, but the last 3 games have been horrible. Despite getting a morale-boosting 3-0 win over Karakopru in the Turkish Cup, we lost 1-0 to Twente in the Europa League. But against Besiktas, we took the lead 2 minutes in. Aldogan scored with this brilliant finish. Not a lot happened before the 81st, as Brewster scored an offside goal. From that free kick, Akarslan literally gave them the ball, so Brewster now actually scored. And in the 97th, Vargas scored. 40 seconds after the ref should have blown the whistle. So we get robbed and lose 2-1. We finally win a game again though, as we win 3-2 over Hatayspor thanks to Ekmen getting a brace before getting us a pen as well, which Aldogan scored. We continued that into the Europa League, as we smashed Aberdeen 3-0, as Erkan got a brace this time, before Ekmen scored once again. But we returned to our old ways, as we only managed a 1-1 draw with Antalyaspor. We then got a strong 0-0 draw with Fenerbahce though. And then we beat Gaziantep in an insane game. We took an early 2-0 lead through Denizli and Aldogan from the spot, before they reduced the arrears. Hussein then made it 3-1, before they made it a 1-goal game again. Seyleme scored for us in the 77th though, to make it 4-2. And as they scored once more in the 93rd, it ended 4-3. Before playing West Ham, we've got the youth intake preview, and it's brilliant. We have a B at striker, as if we need more quality strikers, and C's at both CM and AM.
Today I feel very good.
As we head into the game against the mighty Hammers, Nuno Espirito Santo, their current manager, claimed us an easy opponent before the game. Well, we'll see, won't we? 3 minutes in, Grabara pulled off this insane save, before Elanga hit the bar as Bayram failed to claim the ball. In the 13th, Erkan put in a cross from a short corner, which met the head of Akarslan, so we take the lead. Aldogan then hit the post with his long shot, before Ekmen missed a wide open goal. Wan-Bissaka also hit the post. And in the 96th, Demeli gave them the ball way too easily in midfield, and they went up the other end and scored through Bakayoko, the literal last thing that's happened. But it is a good result, and we weren't that easy of an opponent, were we, Nuno? Back to the league, we went on a bit of a run. We won 3-1 against Alanyaspor thanks to goals from Erkan, an own goal and Enes. Before we just about won 1-0 against Göztepe as Ekmen got our goal in the 92nd, after we'd scored an offside goal and missed a pen. We won the next game 1-0 as well, this time against Ankaragucu, and with Ömerkan getting the goal. And as for the final game before the halfway point, we smashed Rizespor 4-0. Duran, Akarslan, Enes and Volkan FA got our goals. That means we're still in 6th at the halfway point. But we're so much closer to the top clubs than we were. We're only 5 points off second, so we still have a good chance of getting into the UCL spots. A lot happened in January. We got a new president, finally! Can Arslan beat Yahya Çelik to become the club's new president, but he's not investing. Shock. I got rejected upgrades to everything once again, but I did manage to convince them of upgrading the youth recruitment and junior coaching budget in the end. I then got offered a Dortmund job, which very much came out of the blue, before Leicester came in with multiple offers for Hussein, which I declined. And finally, before returning to games again, Besiktas made an offer for Duran, which is never happening. I'm never letting go of him. And finally, we beat Keçiörengucu 2-1 in the Turkish Cup 5th round, as Salemes of all people got a brace. Galatasaray was up next. And we robbed our way to a 0-0 draw. They had 1.66 XG, compared to our 0.06. Let's go!
Hello and welcome aboard the Josie's bus. Get ready for a very uncomfortable ride.
Against Chelsea in the Europa League, we held them off for a grand total of 6 minutes. Bayram got a great save in that time though, but then Salemes gave them the ball to score 6 minutes in. They got both a second and third to smash us 3-0. A simple 1-0 win against Sivasspor was up next, as Aldugan got the only goal, before we'd face Hoffenheim at home. Ekmans got an offside goal 19 minutes in, before Erkans got an actual goal right before the break. But not long after the break, they scored through more. And as Bayram gave the ball to Martinez, he scored to get them the lead. And then the same man scored again, this time from the spot. So we lose 3-1 and end up finishing 19th in the league phase. 10 places worse than last year, but we are still through to the knockout playoff round at least. Before heading into said knockout playoff round, we win easily 3-0 against Alanyaspor in the cup to get through to the quarters. Gurgul, Söylemes and Algan got one each, before we won rather undeservedly 2-0 against Samsunspor, as Söylemes scored again and an own goal was the second. We've been drawn against Villarreal in the knockout playoff round, which is a difficult tie. But we've actually been named slight favorites. That's really surprising. We did take the lead though, through Duran 22 minutes in. Not even 10 minutes later, however, they equalized. They also had 2 big chances late on, but they hit the woodwork, missed the target, or Bayram saved. So we draw 1-1 and we have quite a task ahead of us in Spain. The dullest game of the season followed, as we drew 0-0 with Igdir. The second leg against Villarreal, they had a highlight straight from kickoff, which ended in Baena missing this decent chance. Their goalie then made a good stop from Amarkan's effort, but they went up the other end and scored a minute later. Nothing happened until the 82nd, as Kirstevic scored this header. So we lose 2-0 in the second leg and are once again out in a knockout playoff round.
Do not even. No.
Before heading back to the league, we've got Fenerbahce in the quarterfinal of the cup. 28 minutes in, Haidar put a cross in for the Nisli. His header was blocked though, but Ekman scored a rebound with a nice finish. They then scored a shite rebound goal from a free kick which Bayram initially saved. Haidar then missed this huge chance, as he headed it straight into Livakovic and the post. After a good save from Bayram, we got a highlight in the 89th. Emirkan played Erkan through down the right side. The latter went with the ball for a bit, before crossing it for the Nisli to tap in. So we win 2-1 against Fenerbahce to get through to the semis.
Yeah, blood. Whose end you coming to now, Sam? Dickhead.
Now back to the league, we won 1-0 against Başakşehir thanks to a late goal from the spot from the Nisli. We then smashed Adana Demirspor 3-0, as Aldugan, the Nisli and Erkan got our goals. Before we deservedly beat Manisa 2-0 thanks to Amarjan and Akarslan getting a goal each. The youth intake is here, and I am flabbergasted. We have the most insane youth intake player I've ever seen. His name is Ali Yorulmaz. He's a 15-year-old Super League standard player. He looks insane already and must have some outrageous potential. Other than that wonder kid, we have a couple okay prospects in Ekmekci, Akbaş and Fidan.
It's just like that.
Back to the league though, we win 1-0 against Kocaelispor as Omurcan got the goal. before we won quite undeservedly 4-3 against Konyaspor. Akarslan, Erkan, Yorulmaz on his debut, and Denizli got our 4 goals as we just continue winning. Now we've got league leaders Trabzonspor. If we win this, we take the lead of the league off them. There's a highlight straight from kickoff, and Aldogan scores after 54 seconds. 54 seconds. Wow. Their goalie then pulled off 2 good saves. But they didn't have a single chance. So we win 1-0 against Trabzonspor to take the lead of the league. But now we have Besiktas away. 35 minutes in, Bayram pulled off a good save from a long-range free kick, before he got this decent stop from the following corner as well. Noonan then missed this decent chance in the 65th, before also missing this in the 94th. But that is just a brilliant block from Akarslan. So we steal a 0-0 draw with Besiktas as we defend heroically.
So annoying. David De Gea could save the Titanic. For sake, man.
And that means we're in first with 8 games to go. We haven't lost a game since the 11th of November. And are almost impossible to beat. Another piece of good news is that the youth facilities have been upgraded and are now at 3.5 stars. And both Aldogan and Sailemes have been named on the next gen list, 23rd and 27th respectively. Against Hatayspor in the 31st league game, we won 1-0 as Denizli scored this header from Hussein's brilliant ball over the top. But then Hussein got a bad injury before our next game. He fell so hard on his hip that he's out for 2 months. The next game though, we came back from 1-0 down to win 2-1 as we got saved by getting a pen in the 89th, which Aldogan scored. Our other goal was beautiful, by the way. A great link up between Gurgul and Demeli. We've now got arguably the only difficult game we have left, as we're playing Fenerbahce. Just before the interval, Livakovic pulled off this insane save from Denizli's tap-in effort. In the 62nd though, Erkan won the ball in their box. So Amorjan had an easy job of scoring. So we win 1-0 against Fenerbahce. But we then lost against Gaziantep. Erkan got us a 2-goal lead after 14 minutes. But then we conceded 3 on the bounce. Erkan then got another to get his hat-trick. But then we allowed Onuran to take the ball down so easily in our box. And he scored. So we lost 4-3 despite Erkan scoring a hat-trick. Are you serious? We did bounce back though, with a 2-0 win over Alanyaspor as Amorjan and Demeli got our goals. And then we drew. We somehow only managed to draw 1-1 with Göztepe. Before the final 2 league games, it's time for the semi-final of the Turkish Cup. We're playing Trabzonspor, and we took the lead after just 6 minutes through Denizli. They then scored 2 very late goals to get a 2-1 win away from home. And they started the second leg with 2 early goals as well, so it's 4-1 now. Amorjan did get one back in the 77th, but it was way too late, so we're out of the cup as well. The 37th league game, we had 2 chances. Denizli squandered the first one 29 minutes in, but Demeli didn't. In the 90th, he scored this header to get us such an important win, and Trabzonspor got hammered by Besiktas, so we still have a shot at the title. They do need to drop points again though, which is unlikely. We've got Rizespor away, while Trabzonspor are playing Hatayspor. By the way, mathematically speaking, 4 teams can still win the league today. That's insane. We started well, as Duran got us a pen 3 minutes in. But Aldogan misses it. Denizli then hit the bar, and scored an offside goal. But in the 62nd, Duran got the ball from Erkan, turned around and banged it into the roof of the net. Duran! Let's go! 20 minutes later, we scored again, through Amorjan this time. So as long as Trabzonspor don't score, which they haven't currently, we win the league. But they scored just seconds later, so it's a final day heartbreak for us, as we miss out on a title by a single point. We have got Champions League football next season though. That's actually kind of insane. We have also had an incredible season, and hopefully we can build on it and get our hands on that title next season. The development of our players has been insane once again. Bayram has performed so well that he's actually earned a call up to the World Cup. I think that says enough. Kalafat and Akarslan have once again performed nicely, and both of them are now touted as good Super League players. Volkan FA has struggled big time this season and hasn't really developed, while Enes Yilmaz has performed well in patches. Söylemes has developed incredibly and is now a key player, while Duran has kind of stalled in his performances, with a couple of good ones here and there. Hussein is still playing well and is still a good player, while both Aldogan and Gurgul have developed brilliantly. Aldogan has taken the headlines though, as he's been performing so well. Erkan has become a leading Super League player, while Ekman has performed nicely yet again. Amorjan and Denizli have had good spells, but have also been quite inconsistent. But we might have solved our issue up front, as we've got a 15-year-old absolute gem in Ali Yorulmaz.
Because to me, next season we can win the quadruple. People might laugh because...
The quadruple?
Absolutely, listen. And the reason why I say that is because...
In December of last year, we got a new president, which I celebrated. Finally! But apparently, that was some famous last words. Because when I thought I had it bad with Yahya Çelik, it's so much worse with Can Arslan. He keeps accepting bids for our key players since he thinks he can't refuse that good of an offer. But deep down, he knows he's just a money-greedy bastard. And by the way, these bids are from goddamn Norwich, who are in the championship. How have they got that kind of money?
I'll dance for my money. Da, 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 da.
When the squad came back for the start of preseason, I said we could challenge for the title this year. But they got pissed. What the hell? First of all, we got second by a single point behind first last season. And second of all, it was the only option for me to say at the meeting. What the fuck?
What is going on here? Breakfast!
But some good news is that Mr. Respect has been sacked by Fenerbahce, as he only managed to get a 5th place finish last season. And also, I've actually managed to convince the horrific board to improve the youth recruitment, junior coaching budget, and the training and youth facilities. They've actually done something that makes sense. Back to the bad news though, Manchester United made an offer for Cem Aldogan, which was way too low. I declined it and Aldogan got pissed. So he eventually submitted a formal transfer request, which I declined. So he's staying, but he's pissed off. Before starting the season, the board accepted another offer for one of our best players. Shanghai Port made an offer for Erkan, which they accepted. But both Erkan, Bayram and Hussein decided to reject the offers they got, as they want to play Champions League football with their boyhood club. Piss off board, got the fuck out. And the final thing before starting the season, we're 5th in the season preview. So I'm looking to win the league this year after last year's final day heartbreak. We started like we meant business, as we smashed newly promoted Bodrum 4-0. Yorulmaz got the first from the spot, before Ekmen, Erkan and Duran got the 3 others. And then we beat Galatasaray 2-0 as well. Söylemes scored this tap-in 7 minutes in, before Amorjan scored from Volkan FA's brilliant ball over the top. We've now got the Champions League fixtures, and it's actually outrageous. We've got Club Brugge, Barcelona, Celtic and Roma at home, and Real Sociedad, Inter, Valencia and PSG away. How is that possible? And for our first ever season in the UCL as well. But to make it a bit better, we have at least got 13 million for just qualifying for the Champions League.
Give me the fucking money.
A single chance for each team against Igdir meant we somehow managed to lose 1-0 to them. But we then hammered Çorum 5-1 to hit back. Erkan, Enes, Amorjan ×2 and Erkan again got our 5 goals. Before heading into our first ever Champions League game, we beat Samsunspor 3-2. We got 2 goals from the spot, one from Amorjan and one from Aldogan, before Erkan scored on an open goal after Yorulmaz had hit a post. But against Club Brugge, we struggled. They scored twice through Vetlesen in the opening 8 minutes. Erkan then got one back before the break. Before Nemeth and then Musa Fall scored to make it 3 and 4-1. Denizli got one for us right before the end, so we lost 4-2.
Oh, scary! Oh, shiver my timbers!
Right! That's it!
I have had enough! Enough!
Away to Real Sociedad though, we took the lead 19 minutes in. And in the 67th, Duran scored this banger to double our lead. But we then conceded twice in 6 minutes. So we draw 2-2 as we lose our 2-goal lead in 6 minutes. That's so annoying. Back to the league, we smashed Manisa 4-1 as we came back from 1-0 down. Yoromas got the first, Aldogan got the second and third, and Denizli the fourth and final goal. But we then drew 1-1 with Konyaspor. We scored late on, before they scored even later. And against Fenerbahce we stole a 1-1 draw, as we somehow scored first. And after they'd missed a couple more chances, Faisal scored in the 72nd. Erkan then got a brace against Adana Demirspor to get a 2-0 win, before we threw away our 2-goal lead once again. Duran and Akarslan got us a 2-0 lead against Sivasspor before we gave them 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes. That means we're second after 10 league games. It's insanely tight at the top this year. There's 3 teams on 21 points, 1 on 20 and 1 on 22. Back to Europe, we've now got Barcelona at home. It's actually insane, man. How are we playing against Barcelona? Sutter scored 11 minutes in, but it was offside as Kunde was off for blocking Bayram's view. 14 minutes later, Ferran Torres scored to take the actual lead. Not long into the second though, Erkan scored with a brilliant turn and finish. Their goalie then got this good save from Amarjan's effort, and as nothing else happened, we get a draw against Barcelona. That's actually insane.
Just so disrespectful for you to say something like that!
Our away game against Inter started like the game against Barcelona, as they scored an offside goal. So Lemes then hit the bar from this free kick, before Akarslan scored this own goal from Barella's low cross. But the same man, Barella, tackled Aldogan in his own box. So we got a pen, which Aldogan stepped up to take. And he scores! So we get an incredibly strong 1-1 draw away to Inter. Back to Turkey, Javier Garcia Pimenta has been sacked by Galatasaray after 10 games of the season. They are in 6th to be fair, and have started badly.
We? Who's we? There is no we.
In our next game against Besiktas, they hit the post with a thunderous effort just 3 minutes in. Bayram then got a great save, before Brewster scored with an outrageous finish just 3 minutes later. But in the 83rd, Amarjan shot from a short corner, which deflected off one of their defenders and went in. So we draw 1-1 with Besiktas. Yorulmas got our opener against Ankara Gucu, before Sefas equalized in the 60th. 16 minutes later though, Aldogan scored this. What a goal. Oh my days. So we win 2-1, before we only managed a 1-1 draw with Alanyaspor. An insane game against Hatayspor followed. We took the lead through the Denizli from the spot, before Erkan got our second as Gurgul shot into him. They then got 2 goals in as many minutes to equalize the game. But as Yoromas came on, he scored with a great first-time finish to take the 3-2 lead. But then Demeli decided to stand still, so Okoronkwo scored. But in the 95th, Yoromas scored again, so we win so deservedly 4-3 against Hatayspor as we had 4.38 xG. And against Gaziantep, we won 2-1 thanks to Duran getting a goal and an assist. Against Valencia, their goalie got a good save from Yorulmas's efforts. Bayram then got a good save for us, before they hit the bar from distance. Before Bayram got another great save. Lyle Foster then missed this decent chance, before Sailemes decided to shoot from a 30-yard free kick despite Gurgul being wide open and unmarked. Thankfully though, Duran scored with this brilliantly placed finish after a nice team attack. Duran is on my mind, and his yen is fine dined. So we pull off a huge upset to win 1-0 against Valencia. Let's go! Before heading into our game against Celtic, the Youth and Take preview came through. It's incredible, as we have 2 A's at DM and striker, as well as a B at fullbacks. We also have Cs at CM, AM and wingers, so our work to upgrade the facilities and youth recruitment is finally paying off. Against Celtic, Yilmasmåen scored his first in a UCL, to become the youngest ever goalscorer in the competition. They then equalized, before Aldogan scored an insane screamer off the bar. But they then scored again to equalize in the 85th, so we draw 2-2 with Celtic. Back to the league, we only managed a 1-1 draw with Antalyaspor, as Bayram fluffed it up for everyone with his move. But we then smashed Bursaspor 4-1. Yilmasmåen scored with this incredible finish to get us the lead before scoring this towering header to double it. Ekman then got our third, before Yilmasmåen got his third. He's only gone and got a hat-trick at 16 years old. With that win, we've now beaten a record. We've gone unbeaten for 18 games in all competitions, and have set a new team record with that. And now, the training and youth facilities have been upgraded, and are at 4 stars. Ali Yilmasmåen has also won the Player of the Month for December after his hat-trick. But to ruin it all, Aldogan comes into my office to say he's considering leaving on a free transfer. I've had to promise to sell him before his contract runs out, so he's requested to be transfer listed. I'm either gonna try to get a lot of money for him, or wait so long to sell him that he actually wants to stay.
I'm so sick of these people. You know. Oh!
As for our final 2 games before the halfway point, we won 2-1 against Göztepe thanks to goals from Ekman and Erkan, before we drew 0-0 with Trabzonspor because of Yilmasmåen missing a goddamn penalty. So we're still in second at the halfway point. We're only a point behind Fenerbahce in first, but there's also only 2 points from us down to fourth, so it's extremely tight this season as well. Both Tottenham and Inter have now made offers for Aldogan. Tottenham's offer is way too low, while Inter have tried it with a flipping loan. I demanded too much money, so they rejected, which meant Aldogan came into my office. I said I can't let him go for less than 15 million, and he just said no. As Gurgul came on at halftime against Galatasaray, he scored 50 seconds into the second half with this deflected finish. So we win 1-0 against Galatasaray to get such a big win. We then beat Bodrum 1-0 as well, thanks to Solemes' free kick through their wall. We then got smashed 3-1 by Pep's PSG. Lamine Yamal, who somehow moved there, scored twice, before Serpentine got their third. But against Roma, a game we had to win to get through to the knockouts, Ekman got us the lead 7 minutes in. Dukanovic then hit the post, before Duran scored a great header after Erkan's brilliant solo run to make it 2-0. So we win 2-0 to sneak through to the knockout playoff round.
You know, and Jim, they're doing the work, they're doing and they force what they...
Against Igdir, we scored 2 goals in quick succession, as Gurgul scored straight after coming on once again, before Haidar got the second and final goal in a 2-0 win. We then smashed Çorum 4-1, as Gurgul, Amercan ×2 and Solemes got our goals. 46 seconds in against Samsunspor, Amercan scored this tap-in from Ekman's brilliant low cross. Gurgul then doubled our lead with his great finish, and as they only scored once, we won 2-1. And then we beat Manisa 1-0 thanks to Amercan scoring from the spot, before heading into the knockout playoff round against Roma. Marmoush opened the scoring for them 31 minutes in. But as Yilmasmåen scored from Nejat's brilliant first-time low cross in the 53rd, we draw 1-1 with Roma. So we have a big task ahead of us in Rome. 2 big things happened before the second leg. Cem Aldogan, completely out of the blue, has decided he's happy to stay at the club. So he withdraws his transfer request and everything is happy days at Yeni Malatyaspor. But then Yilmasmåen got injured. He's got a sports hernia and is out for 4 to 5 weeks. 19 minutes into the second leg against Roma, Cristante scored this bullshit long shot from a short corner, which Bayram should just claim easily. Amercan then scored an offside goal, before scoring an actual goal 15 minutes later. Bayram then pulled off a huge save, and then 2 more incredible saves in the 62nd. But just a minute later, they scored through D'Andrea. So we lose 2-1 against Roma, and we're once again out in a knockout playoff round, even if it is in a UCL this time.
I want to be polite with you. And I prefer not to answer to the question, because
Your question is really a bad question.
Some good news now though is that the board have agreed to upgrade both the training and youth facilities once again. It'll be done in July and then we're only one upgrade away from maxed out facilities. And Gurgul has also just won the Player of the Month for February, but we then lost 2-1 against Konyaspor. Alan St. Maximin, who somehow ended up there, scored this free kick before Bertug scored this header. That's also our first loss in 22 games. Against Sivasspor, Duran and Nejad put together a nice 1-2, which Duran finished off with a good finish to get us the win. Right before the break against Fenerbahce, Gurgul gave away the ball, so Mehmet Fatih scored. But he made up for it with an absolute peach of a volley into the top corner just 2 minutes later. Livakovic then pulled off 2 big saves late on, to make sure it stayed at a 1-1 draw.
In that position, I just have to smash it.
Now the youth intake is here, and it is once again outrageous. We have another generational talent at striker in Atakan Inan. He, just like Yorulmaz, is already a Super League standard player. That's insane! We also finally have a good left back in Ersin Topatar, who'll take the left back spot right away. And the final one worth mentioning is Denis Vurmas, a defensive midfielder. Hussein and Haidar made sure we got back from 1-0 down against Adana Demirspor to win 2-1 as we scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. And now we've got Besiktas in the Turkish Cup quarterfinal, which we got to by winning 3-1 against Pendikspor and 2-0 against Adana Demirspor. But here we went 1-0 down 40 minutes in, and we couldn't create anything, so we're out of the cup to Besiktas. We've now got Besiktas again. This time in the league, we conceded first once again. This time just 7 minutes in. Duran then missed a decent chance, before our new lad up front, Atakan Inan, scored from Nejat's great volleyed cross. So we draw 1-1 with Besiktas, which means we're in first with 8 games to go. Trabzonspor and Fenerbahce have a game in hand currently, and could get within 1 and 2 points respectively. So we are in the driver's seat for this title, and we also have quite an easy run-in except for Trabzonspor in the final game. But hopefully we've already got the title at that point. Before heading into the title fight, Solemes has won the next gen. That's insane! And Yorulmaz is in 6th as well. Solemes showed why he won it in the next game, as he scored twice against Ankara Gucu in the 4-0 hammering. Yorulmaz and Duran got the 3rd and 4th goals, by the way. Before our next game, Trabzonspor beat Fenerbahce and are now just a single point behind us. But we now also have an 8-point gap down to Fenerbahce, so it's basically just a 2-horse race now. The 32nd league game started with Osman missing a decent chance 14 minutes in, before Ekman missed a huge chance and scored an offside goal. They then hit a post from a corner, and then it hit Osman and just about went wide. In the 94th though, Emircan put in an insane cross, which Nejat scored an even better header from. Oh my god! We've just won in the most dramatic fashion to beat Alanyaspor. That is so important. But we then draw 1-1 with Hatayspor, so we're now behind Trabzonspor. And Duran has also been injured for 3 to 4 weeks.
We cannot replace him. We cannot.
And then we drew 0-0 with Gaziantep as well. And then another 0-0 draw with Antalyaspor. What the hell, man?
Oh no, he's going for this. He's going for this. Oh my goodness.
But Trabzonspor have also drawn their last 2 games, so we're still only a point off. After 3 straight draws, we finally win again. Aldogan got the opener from the spot before Solemes scored this insane banger. Ekman then got our 3rd to make it a 3-0 win over Bursaspor. In the 37th league game, Duran missed this good chance 3 minutes in. Ekman then scored an offside goal 6 minutes later. And then they very nearly scored an own goal from Ekman's low cross, but they just about denied it. So we go back to drawing. But Trabzonspor lost their game against Galatasaray, so we're now tied on points. And if Fenerbahce had won their game, by the way, we actually would have been tied on points with them as well. That's insane. It's time for the final league game. And it is basically like a cup final, as it's an all-out brawl for the title. The game started with Hög and Hamza missing decent chances, before Ekman, Duran and Erkan missed a decent chance each for us. In the 63rd though, we put together a great team attack, which was finished off by Yilmasmåen. 15 minutes later, we scored again! Another goal from Yilmasmåen. And in the 90th, Haidar scored to make it 3. So we smashed Trabzonspor 3-0 to win the Super League title. Duran lifts the trophy as we're officially the best team in Turkey. It's the end of an absolutely incredible season, which was crowned with a Super League title. We only lost 2 games all season long. That is actually brilliant. There's a few players who stand out in terms of development. Bayram has kept performing incredibly, as he's arguably the best goalkeeper in the league now. Volkan Efe is still struggling though, while we now finally have a good left-back prospect in Ersin Topatar. Kalafat and Akarslan have kept performing, but haven't really developed, while Salemes has performed incredibly and has developed into a leading Super League player. Both Aldogan and Gurgul are now good Super League players, while Duran and Hussein has once again performed well in patches. Ekman has been incredible, while Erkan has struggled a lot since January. Yilmasmåen has had 2 spells of insane performances, and he's developed pretty well. And we now have yet another quality striker coming through in Atakan Inan. We genuinely have a bit of an issue up top, as we have 4 top-tier strikers to fill 1 position. But I guess it'll come in handy as the Manager of the Year winner Burak Yilmasmåen and his young Yeni Malatyaspor side are going for European glory from now on. After an incredible title win last season, Yeni Malatyaspor are now on the hunt for European glory. And how are we gonna do that, you ask?
I don't know, I just got here.
Well, I started by getting the board to upgrade the youth recruitment, so that is now at 3.5 stars, alongside the fact that both the training and youth facilities have been finished upgrading, so they're at 4.5 stars. And I've been given a new contract until 2035, but since they were a bit nice for once, they thought they could just do whatever they want. So they accepted an offer for Salemes from Sunderland. It's a big offer, but we cannot lose him. I protest the transfer to the board, and they do say yes to pulling out of the negotiations. Before we start the season, I've decided to send our star graduate from last season, Atakan Inan, out on loan to 2nd-tier side Fatih Karagümrük. That's to guarantee playing time for him, and hopefully he'll improve a bit as well. And once again, before the season opener, we're playing Besiktas in the Turkish Super Cup final in Saudi. Why are we going to Saudi? It's literally 2 Turkish sides playing against each other in a Turkish Super Cup final. What the hell? Well, either way, we score early through Erkan. And as they literally didn't have a single chance, we win 1-0, simple as. So we start the season with an easy trophy in
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, and by the way, we're 5th in the season preview once again this year, so I'm expecting to be fighting for the title this year as well. We start well against Igdir, as Aldogan and Erkan get a goal each and a 2-1 win. We then beat Samsunspor 2-0 in the next game, as Amorcan got one from the spot before assisting Erkan's tap-in. And then, against Kasim Pasa, we had an insane game. Yilmasmåen opened the scoring 38 seconds in, before doubling it just 6 minutes later. He then assisted Amorcan in the 26th to make it 3. And at the death, we got a pen as Akarslan was tackled, which Yilmasmåen scored to get his hat-trick. So he's got a hat-trick and an assist. Fuck, well, this guy's nuts. Before heading into our first UCL game of the season, we smashed Adana Demirspor 4-0 as well. Gurgul got a brace, while Aldogan and Akarslan got one each as well. We've got bloody Chelsea in our first Champions League game. Thiago Motta, their manager, claimed us an easy opponent before the game, and he couldn't have been more wrong. Right, unfortunately. We got hammered 3-0, as Lavia, Rizzo and Nkunku got a goal each. So we took one on the chin. What does that matter? Well, We then took another one. We lost 1-0 to flipping Hatayspor. How? So after 2 losses, we hit back, right? Yes, we do. We got a pen against Lens in the 22nd, which Aldogan put away to open the scoring. 3 minutes later, they equalized though. 40 minutes later, something new happened, as Denizli scored from Gurgul's brilliant ball over the top. And as Gurgul scored one himself as well, we win 3-1 against Lens to get our first win in Europe as well. With the Champions League money, I've also convinced the board to upgrade the training facilities for the very last time, as we'll have maxed out training facilities after this. 2 highlights against Besiktas meant a 1-1 draw with them, as we scored ours through Amojan from the spots. And that was the result against Fenerbahce as well, unfortunately. But this time Amojan was the assister, while Yorulmaz was the scorer. We then got back to winning ways by beating newly promoted Başakşehir 2-0 thanks to a nice brace from Yorulmaz. A narrow 3-2 win over Ankaragucu followed as Yorulmaz got another brace before we beat Antalyaspor 1-0 as well. And guess who scored? Yorulmaz. Which means he won the Player of the Month for October after scoring 5 goals in 3 games.
It's like the LeBron James of soccer? Definitely.
And it also means we're in second after 10 games, as we're 3 points behind Trabzonspor. They haven't even lost a game yet, and are so difficult to catch. After an offside goal from Yorulmaz against Molde right before the break, they actually took the lead. Not even 10 minutes later though, Ekman scored with his banging tap-in finish. A big block from Akarslan followed, before their defender literally played the ball to Ekman, who was on a wide open goal as the pass was meant for their goalie. So he scores the easiest goal he's ever scored, and will ever score, to get such an important 2-1 win. And that win turned out to be increasingly important, as we lost 2-0 to Juventus in the next game. Hoop Miners got the first from the spot, before Kenan Yildiz scored this free kick through our wall. Back to the league though, we beat Alanyaspor at the death. Duran got the only goal of the game, which came in the 95th. Duran! We just continued winning, as we beat Sivasspor 2-0, with Yorulmaz and Aldogan getting one each. Before beating Gaziantep 1-0 thanks to Yorulmaz scoring yet again. But we then lost 2-0 because of Necmi Özler. I wanted to rest Calafat for 1 single game, so I put Necmi in his place, but he got a straight red.
I am in incredible pain.
But now the youth intake preview is here, and it's good. We have an A at fullbacks, and I need it to be a right back, as we're seriously struggling there. And then we have C's at goalie, DM and AM. Now we've got PAOK away, a game we should win so easily. And we did. We scored the opener 59 seconds in, the second 3 minutes later, and the third 4 minutes after that again. That is the most insane opening 10 minutes I've ever seen. Yorulmaz then got his second and our fourth in the 79th to make it a 4-0 hammering. Next up is Red Bull Salzburg at home. Another game we should be able to win. We took the lead early at least, through Duran. Their goalie then got a very good save, before Aldogan gave away a pen, which Baidu scored. Big chance missed for both sides was next, before Ekman got the ball out on the left. He took a few touches to bring the ball inside, before smacking it into the top corner. So we win 2-1. Galatasaray is next, who are somehow 13th. So it's no surprise that we took the lead through, you guessed it, Yorulmaz. Duran then doubled it just 3 minutes later, before Yorulmaz scored again in the 45th. But then Göktürk scored, and then Ali scored. Up stepped Ali Yorulmaz for the 3rd time though, to get his hat-trick. So we win 4-2 against a seriously struggling Galatasaray side. But then we somehow lost to Göztepe. They scored 3 from 1.14 XG. What the hell? Just look at this first goal from them. What is Bayram doing? The biggest game of the season so far is here, as we're facing Trabzonspor. We concede 11 minutes in. Brilliant. A good save from Bayram followed, before their goalie got a big double save. Just 2 minutes later though, we score through Duran. Duran is on my mind, and he's Yeni's fine dined. Right before the break, Yorulmaz scored to get us the lead after a bit of a mess. But then, 20 minutes into the second, Lemes decided to tackle Sishuba from behind, in their defensive third. So he obviously got a straight red, and we conceded less than 10 minutes later because of that. So we draw 2-2. We did get back to winning ways though, with a 3-2 win over Konyaspor as Aldogan got a brace and Yorulmaz got the third. Before we beat Manisa 2-0 as well, thanks to a brace from Yorulmaz, which means that at the halfway point we're still in second. We're 5 points behind Trabzonspor now, and they are impossible to catch. They still haven't lost a game, bro. How?
I'm gonna get that bastard!
And as you've seen, Ali Yorulmaz is doing insanely well, as he's got 18 goals in 19 games. He's actually doing so well that he's won the European Golden Boy. That's incredible. But he's now gonna go pissed off because I rejected a lowball bid from Inter. You just had to ruin it, didn't you? And speaking of being pissed off, so am I, because of Can Arslan winning the elections again.
What do you mean? What do you mean by shaking it? What are you doing? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
And the decided he wants Calafat, our star centre back, at the club. He accepts a bid from Shanghai Port, but I protested, and they say yes. But then, just a couple days later, Can Arslan accepts another bid for Calafat. For fuck's sakes, man. And a few days later, Calafat decides he actually wants to join Shanghai Port. What the fuck? He wants to go to flipping China instead of playing in a Champions League with this boyhood club. Nah, man. That's outrageous from it. It is a very good amount of money for us, and actually the transfer record in the country, but I still cannot believe his decision. So now we're gonna have to move Hussein back as a centre back and place Lemes in the 6.
Are you f***ing dumb?
It did turn out to work well though, as we beat Samsunspor 2-0 thanks to Erkan and Yorulmaz getting one each. Before Haidar, Amujan and Gurgul got a goal each to beat Igdir 3-0. Before going to Camp Nou to play Barcelona, we beat Kasimpasa 3-0 as well. Yorulmaz got one and Erkan got the 2 others. But against Barcelona we got humiliated. They beat us fair and square 3-0 as Seshko, Nogueira and Ferran Torres scored. And before our final league phase game, we've lost Ekman for 2 to 3 months with a torn hamstring. And in said final league phase game, we got hammered again. Mukoko, our former prodigy at Hamburg, scored 4 bloody goals against us to beat us 4-0. It didn't exactly help that Arlogan got a straight red either, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We're through to the knockout playoff round either way, so it doesn't really matter. After scoring 2 offside goals, we finally scored an actual goal against Adana Demirspor through Yorulmaz. That turned out to be the only goal as well, so we win 1-0. Because of that, he won the Player of the Month once again, this time after scoring 6 in 5 games. And maybe because of that, or just the fact that he used some common f***ing sense, he decided he's happy to stay. Before our next game, I just want to say a huge thank you to Robert Ramczak. He's just scored a blooming hat-trick against Trabzonspor to make them lose their very first game of the season. Finally, after 24 goddamn games.
Is it possible to unsee things?
In our next game though, we humiliated Hatayspor, 5-0. Aldogan and Abujan got a brace each, with Duran getting the final one. We then beat Besiktas rather undeservedly actually. Yorulmaz got us the lead, before Erkan doubled it in the 72nd. Brewster got one back for them, but as Enes scored for us in the 96th, we won 3-1. Now, it's time for the UEFA Champions League knockout playoff round. Yeah, it's a mouthful, isn't it? Anyway, we've been drawn bloody Bayern, so we're fucked, I guess. Well, not entirely. We do go 1-0 down, obviously. But we fight back. Yorulmaz first came close with his bicycle kick attempt, before he scored this tap-in. And then in the 70th, Yorulmaz put a corner in, which Lemes scored from. But it gets disallowed because he did the hand of God. That's brilliant. Yorulmaz then had his tap-in effort somehow saved by Restes, before Nejat missed this huge chance as he shot straight at Restes. so we draw 1-1 in the first leg, and we have a big task ahead of us in Munich. Said task started brilliantly though, as we took the lead through Sailemes. But not even a minute later, Musiala scored with his bullshit finish off the bar. I mean, look at Bayram. What is he doing? The next highlight came in the 63rd, as Sailemes gave them the ball, and they scored. So we lose 2-1 in the second leg in a closely fought battle, and we're out of Europe. However, we went back to the league like nothing had happened. We smashed Başakşehir 5-2 as Yorulmaz got yet another brace. Sailemes then made sure we got a 1-0 win over Ankaragucu before heading into the Turkish Cup quarterfinal. To get there, we beat Boluspor 6-3 as Ekmen got a hat-trick, as well as Altayspor with Haydar and Gurgul getting one each. In the quarters though, we've once again got Besiktas. Other than this insane save from their goalie, nothing happened in normal time, so it's going to extra time. But 5 minutes into extra time, Denizli scored to give us the lead. And as Gomez got his second yellow for stopping our counterattack, we won 1-0 to knock out Besiktas. And now the youth intake is here. It's once again brilliant, as we have an insane looking left back for the second year running. Songul Gursan is his name.
Hello, horse. I shall call you Burger.
But we also have a very promising right back. Finally! His name is Nurullah Yokdemir. And the final one worth mentioning is goalkeeper Soner Canpolat. Our new left back, Songul Gursan, could basically play anywhere on the pitch with his stats. And as we already have a good left back in Topatar, I decided to train Songul into a centre back. He actually has some very good stats for a centre back, and he's also quite tall. We continue our run in the league, as we beat Antalyaspor 3-0 with Duran getting a brace, as well as beating Alanyaspor 3-0. And that means that with 8 games to go, well, 9 for us, we're in second. We're 3 points behind Trabzonspor with a game in hand, and we have a seriously good chance of winning the title for a second year running. We won yet another game 3-0, as we beat Sivasspor as well, with Yorulmaz getting another brace. Yorulmaz and Aldogan, alongside Bayram and Hussein, has just been called up to the Turkey's senior national team. And Yorulmaz got a goal on his debut, and he's just won the next gen. Wow, this guy is just incredible.
I want to hurt myself, yeah.
Back to the league, we just about beat Gaziantep 3-2. Erkan got a brace, and Yorulmaz of course got another one. Not even a minute in against Fenerbahce, Livakovic pulled off a big save. And just 2 minutes later, Hussein decided to do this. He didn't want to play anymore, so he got a straight red. Bayram then saved this header from Yusuf, but Kjelsen scored the rebound. Satriano then doubled it in the 61st, but we got one back through Erkan 3 minutes later. And then David got a straight red as well, so we have a chance. And then Mert Muldur wanted to get in on the fun, so he too got a straight red. But it was too late, as we lost 2-1. We did get back to winning ways though, as we beat Kocaelispor 1-0 thanks to Omercan scoring before getting sent off. And in the same round of games, Trabzonspor somehow lost to 17th place Başakşehir. So we've got a 3-point gap now. But then we drew with Galatasaray. So now we've only got a 1-point gap. Before our next game, we've got a semi-final in the cup. In the first leg, we actually struggled big time. We did take the lead. But then they equalized not long after. And then our loanee, Atakan Inan, scored this outrageous finish into the absolute stench. And he has the cheek to celebrate against us. So we had to fight back, as we scored the equalizer in the 95th, through this great finish from Hussein. The second leg was way more controlled though, as Yorulmaz got one, before Omercan got the second from the spot. So we're through to the final. Back to the title fights, we smash Göztepe 4-1, as Yorulmaz gets yet another brace, and Hussein and Aldogan got the other ones. And now, it's time for the arguable title decider. We're playing Trabzonspor away, And as long as we don't lose, we're still in the driver's seat for the title. By the way, our new lad Songul Gursan has already become an accomplished centre-back. It's actually taken just over a month. That's incredible. The game started with Mark Guyo missing a huge chance from point-blank range as he headed it over. Aldogan then had his effort blocked, which led to the corner which Hussein scored this header from. Just 3 minutes later, Mark Guyo handballed it from a corner. So we got a pen, which Amarjan scored. And right before the break, Yorulmaz scored to make it 3. But then, Zakaria scored for them. Mark Guyo then also scored. But we managed to hold on to win 3-2. And as long as we win one of our final 2 games, we've won the title for the 2nd year running. Konyaspor is all that's standing between us and the title. Both goalies start the game with a big save each. We then get a free kick in the 31st. Hussein heads the ball across for Yorulmaz to score from. A big save from their goalie and a woodwork hit from Salemes followed. Before Duran scored to double our lead. Duran is on my mind and is Yeni's fine dine. And then Yorulmaz scores to get his 2nd and our 3rd. So we smash Konyaspor 3-0 to win the Super League title for the 2nd year running. Let's go! But we don't get a trophy lift. Well, let's roll last season's one then. We cap off another incredible league season with a 4-2 win over Manisa as Yorulmaz scored all 4. Wow! So we end up winning the league by 4 points as we won 30 out of 38 games. And now we have the chance for another piece of silverware, as we're playing Trabzonspor in the final of the Turkish Cup. An insane save from their goalie was the opening of the game, before Amarjan scored 5 minutes later to give us the lead. Right before the break though, Amar scored as Bayram comes out to claim it without even going for the ball. And straight from kickoff in the second half, their centre-back, I repeat, their centre-back, scored this. He has between 5 and 9 finishing, and 6 and 9 long shots. What the fuck? 5 minutes later though, Yorulmaz of course scores to equalize. So it's going to extra time, and as nothing happened in extra time, pens it is. They're up first, and Umut Tohumchu scores. Songul is first for us, and he scores. Hug then scored for them, before Amarjan, who's so knackered he basically can't walk, misses. Abner Vinicius is next for them, and Bayram saves. Denizli then put away our next. And for the next few, it seemed like no one wanted a miss, as Kim scored, Gurgol scored, Servet scored, Topotar scored, Jakub scored, but then came Volkan Efe, who missed for us. So we lose the final on penalties in the most cruel fashion. But fair play to Trabzonspor, they played it perfectly. Even though we couldn't get our hands on a Turkish Cup, and even though we couldn't make it any further in Europe this season, I feel like we've improved loads and could make a charge in Europe next season. As for our players' improvement, it's been insane. Bayram is still performing incredibly, while Hussein has done the same ever since he got moved back as a centre-back. Songul Gursan has kind of taken over our Karslan spot ever since he came in, and has done pretty well. Nurullah Yökdemir has struggled quite a lot since coming in, but that is fair, as he's only 15 years old. Ersin Topotar, on the other hand, has done a bit better, and has improved quite a lot. Salemes, Duran and Gurgul have all done well this season once again, while Aldogan has done insanely well. He's a star Super League player, and I'm in awe of the lad. Erkan and Amarjan have done well as wingers, to be fair, while Ekman has been quite lackluster this season. Denizli has taken a bit of a backseat position this season, as Ali Yorulmaz has been absolutely incredible. Yorulmaz has literally scored a goal every single league game on average. 38 goals in 38 games. Wow! He too is a star Super League player now, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to keep a hold of him. We're apparently made of money now, as these are the budgets we've been given for this season. We also have last year's Turkish Cup top scorer Atakan Inan returning from his loan, so he's about to form the most insane striker duo with last year's European Golden Shoe and Super League Player of the Season winner, all under the management of the manager of the season, Burak Yilmasmåen. Wow, we've actually developed one of the best academies in the world.
Well. How the turntables...
4 of our players have also been called up to represent Turkey at the Euros, so that's even more of a testament to our work in the academy. Our title rivals for the last 2 seasons have just lost their manager to retirement, as Abdullah Avci has retired, and they've hired Cesc Fabregas as his replacement. Wow! I did not expect that. Before the season started, I did think about signing Umut Şahin back to the club, as I think it's allowed when it's a player who's come through the youth ranks at the club, but is not interested at all. So we head into the season with the same squad as last season. We started by losing 2-0 to Trabzonspor in the Turkish Super Cup final. So our first meeting with Fabregas' Trabzonspor wasn't the best.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
But we started the league season with a win. A 1-0 win over Göztepe as Yorulmaz got his first goal of the season in his first game. We then smashed Igdir 3-0 as Duran, Yorulmaz and Hüseyin got one each in a brilliant first half. Before we also beat Galatasaray 3-0. Amorcan got the first and Yorulmaz got the 2 others. Before we head into the first UCL game, we just about beat Antalyaspor 4-3. Erkan got a brace late on to turn it around from 3-2 to them to 4-3 to us. We've now got Red Bull Leipzig away in the opening game of our UCL campaign. And we could say that the team talk didn't exactly go as planned. But that didn't matter actually, as Topatar scored with this brilliant finish 3 minutes in. An offside goal from Amorcan, and then a decent save from Bayram followed, before Xavi Simons equalized it for them in the 61st. Atakan Inan then failed in his one simple job, staying onside, as he scored this offside goal. So we draw 1-1, quite a strong result to be honest.
You had one job. Just the one?
Gurgul and Amorcan got a goal each in our next game as we beat Hatayspor 2-0. We then headed into our second UCL game, at home against Slavia Prague. Yorulmaz scored 4 minutes in after a great team attack. Erkan then scored with this insane finish 12 minutes later to double it. Before Yorulmaz scored his second 5 minutes after that again. And then he got his hat-trick in the 80th. And he scored again 3 minutes later to make it 5. So we hammer Slavia Prague 5-0, as Yorulmaz got 4 goals. As we returned to the league, we somehow only managed to get a 1-1 draw with Adana Demirspor. We then just about won 1-0 against Ankara Gucu thanks to a goal from Amorcan, before we drew 0-0 with flipping Pendikspor. And Amorcan also got injured against Pendikspor, so he's out for a month. We hit back with a 3-0 win over Başakşehir, as Duran, Ekmen and Atakan Inan got one each. And then we just about won 2-1 against Sivasspor, as we mounted a late comeback with goals from Erkan and Gurgul. That means we're in second after 10 games played. We're a point behind Fenerbahce as they've won 9 out of 10 games, compared to our 8 wins and 2 draws. So the unbeaten team, us, is behind them, who've lost a game.
Whoa, we're close now.
We're now playing Lens away. Right before the break, Reis scored this rebound from Diarra's post-it. And then Selemes gave away this pen in the 67th. But Bayram saves it. We couldn't create anything though, so we lose completely deservedly 1-0 as they somehow only scored once from over 3 XG. And now it's time for our game against Arsenal at home. Their manager Xabi Alonso has also just claimed us an easy opponent, so this is a juicy one. Nothing happened until the 55th, where Duran put in a low cross which no one met, but then Ekmen put in a cross of his own, which Yorulmaz scored from. 20 minutes later, Garcia missed this big chance from a corner, as he headed it wide. And that was it. We beat Arsenal 1-0. That's a real statement win. And piss off Xabi Alonso. Back to the league, we simply continue our incredible run. We win 1-0 against Rizespor thanks to this goal from Duran. We then beat Besiktas 2-1 as Amorcan and Yorulmaz got one each. Before he smashed Keçiören and Gucu 3-0 as Gurgul got a brace. We then hammered Kocaelispor 5-1 as Erkan got a brace this time. before beating both Kasimpasa and Konyaspor 2-1, as Yilmaz got 3 goals in those 2 games. Our winning run did come to an end though. We drew 0-0 with Samsunspor in a dull game, and then we drew 1-1 with Trabzonspor. Atakan Inan got our goal as we came back from 1-0 down. An insane game against Fenerbahce followed, where they got a 2-0 lead in 6 minutes. We got one back in the 15th through Songul, but then they scored basically straight from kickoff. Yilmaz got another one back in the 20th, before the same man conceded a pen. But Bayram saved it again. Straight from kickoff in the second half, we missed a pen of our own, and then Aldogan got a straight red 3 minutes later. So they made it 4-2, before Denizli scored a pen for us, but then Szymanski scored to make it 5-3. So we lose our very first game of the season, and it's against one of our title rivals as well. That means we're in second at the halfway point, a point behind Fenerbahce because of losing against them. We have had an insane season so far though, so hopefully we can get back to that form shortly. During that insane run in the league, the youth intake preview also came in, which was rather average to be honest. We got a B at AM and a C at CM, and otherwise it's pretty bad. But a positive from our youth academy is that Cem Aldogan has just won the European Golden Boy, a year after Yilmaz won it, so Yeni Malatyaspor has won it 2 years in a row. It's time to return to European football, the final 4 league phase games. We start at home against Real Sociedad, where the first thing happened in the 79th. Gurgul scored with this great finish off the post to give us the lead. But as I thought we'd secured a huge win, Hussein scored an own goal, so we draw 1-1. Next up is Partizan Belgrade away, which we should win easily. We dominated the game, but I wouldn't say we won easily. Yilmaz got us the lead early, before Ekmen doubled it pretty late on, in the 84th. They got one back in the 88th, but nothing else happened, so we won 2-1. The second to last UCL league phase game is at home against Juventus. They took the lead early, through Kenan Yildiz. Yilmaz then scored an offside goal pretty late on, 10 minutes before Aldogan scored with his nice finish. And as Atakan Inan missed this big chance and Bayram pulled off this incredible save, we draw 1-1 with Juve. And the final one, away to Liverpool, I'd rather not talk about. We lost 4-0, there you go. You happy now? Back to the league, we beat Igdir 2-0 as Soilemes and Atakan Inan got one each. Before we beat Göztepe 2-1 as well, as Atakan Inan got another 2 goals. We then beat Galatasaray 3-0 as Erkan got a brace and Atakan Inan got yet another goal.
Nah, he's on fire right now. Keep going.
And as he's been on fire, he's just won the Player of the Month for January. Before heading into the UCL knockout playoff round, we've got 3 games. The first one is in the cup against Kocaelispor. But before that, I need to tell you about the previous round. We faced our own reserve team. By the way, the reason for why that's possible is that I made a little mistake while making the database, as I made our reserve team eligible for the Turkish Cup somehow. But either way, we beat them 9-0. And then we also handled Kocaelispor pretty easily, as we beat them 2-1 thanks to goals from our 2 super strikers, Atakan Inan and Yilmaz. The other 2 games before UCL football was a strange 1-0 loss to Antalyaspor and then a 4-0 hammering of Hatayspor. We've been drawn Napoli in the knockout playoff round, which is a tough tie, but one we absolutely could win considering our results in Europe this season. Their goalie started the game with a great save from Hussein's header. Just under 20 minutes later though, their goalie couldn't keep it out for any longer, as Yilmaz scored from Aldogan's pass through. Half an hour later, in the 65th, Duran scored to double our lead. Duran! So we get a brilliant result to take with us to Naples. They opened the second leg with a post-hit from Salazar, not even a minute in, before we actually took the lead 4 minutes later. Jonathan David then equalized the game for them 15 minutes later. In the second half, Akarslan got a big block, before Lucas Ramos got them the lead and only 1 goal away from tying it up on aggregate. but we held on to win 3-2 on aggregate to get through to the round of 16 for the first time ever. Before that round of 16, we humiliated Adana Demirspor 6-0. Atakan Inan, Aldogan, Akarslan, Yorulmaz and Ekmen with a brace got our 6 goals. We then won very deservedly 1-0 against Pendikspor in the Turkish Cup quarters as Atakan Inan scored yet again. And finally we won 1-0 against Ankara Gucu as well as the same man scored once again. And you're probably shaking with excitement on who we've got in around the 16. It's Real Madrid. Nah, man. I guess we have to make the most of it. And we actually do. Yorulmaz scored 4 minutes into the first leg. And then Erkan doubled it in the 41st. They obviously got one back before the break though, through Vinny. But as Songol got this huge block, we actually win 2-1 at home in the first leg. But we all know what can happen at the Bernabeu. Before that, we hammered Pendikspor 4-0 as Gurgul got a brace. And then the youth intake came through. And as the preview showed, not a lot of good players. So we'll just focus on the UCL. Nothing happened in the first half of the second leg. But 20 minutes into the second half, the first warning sign came, as Bellingham missed this good chance. And the same man got tackled by Hussein less than 10 minutes later. So they got a pen, which Bellingham put away to equalize it on aggregate. 8 minutes later though, we got a free kick, which was whipped into Duran, who flicked it into Akarslan's path, and he scores with a header to get us the lead. And with that we're through, as we've beaten Real Madrid. Let's go! We went back to the league with that confidence, as we beat Başakşehir 2-0, Sivasspor 5-2, and Rizespor 6-0. 6-0! Which means that we've moved into first with 8 games to go. We're a single point ahead of Trabzonspor and 5 points ahead of Fenerbahce. We've somehow managed to only lose 2 games all season long, so we definitely have a great chance of winning the title once again. Yorulmaz has also just won the next gen for the 2nd year running. And Atakan Inan is in 3rd as well, so we've genuinely built one of the absolute best academies in the world.
Maybe someone's don't like me because maybe I'm too good.
Before our historic quarterfinal, we beat Besiktas 4-2 as Atakan Inan got a bloody hat-trick. Wow, this guy has turned up this season. We've got f***ing Man City in the quarters though. Nah, these draws, man. Well, if we can get an alright result at Etihad in the first leg, then we actually have a chance. Haaland is also out with an injury by the way, so we don't have to deal with that in Nobed. The opening 20 minutes was like pure hell for us, as they had big chance on big chance. Eventually, Echeverry made it 1-0 though. They kept missing chances. Before Gvardiol hit the bar with his header, and Ansu Fati scored the rebound. An offside goal from Yorulmaz followed, before we actually got one back, which is so important for the second leg. So we lose 2-1 in the first leg, and we have a huge task ahead of us in Turkey. As if our schedule wasn't packed enough, we had to play Keçiören and Gucu before the second leg. We did beat them 3-0 though, as Erkan got a brace. And now it's time for the home leg. We conceded first. Brilliant. Yorulmaz got one back for us to make it a 1-0 game again though, right before the break. And right after it, Konda handballed in his own box, so we got a pen, which Aldogan steps up to take. And he scores! So it's tied on aggregate now. Just 3 minutes later, Duran somehow missed this as he hit the bar. Not a lot happened for the rest of the half. But in the 94th, Omurcan got the ball from Topatar. He went with the ball for a while, before squaring it for Atakan Inan to tap in. But they've got a corner now. Rodrigo whips it in, but Soilemes cuts it off before it gets to any of their players. He then plays it to Omurcan, who has a gaping half and goal ahead of him, since their goalie went up for the corner. So he scores on a wide open goal to get us through to the semis! Oh my days. Wow. Before said semis, we beat Kocaelispor 1-0 thanks to Erkan getting the goal. As well as Kasimpasa 2-0 with Atakan Inan and Songol getting one each. We also drew 1-1 in the first leg of the semi-final in the Turkish Cup against Trabzonspor, so we're really fighting on all fronts. It's incredible. We would enter in the semi-final, the biggest game in our history. We start off brilliantly, as Yilmaz opens the scoring from Aldogan's pass through 29 minutes in. Amorcan then missed this huge chance in the 50th, before Pafundi scored with this outrageous finish to equalize. But straight from kickoff, Yilmaz gets his second to get us back in front. So we win 2-1 in the first leg to make our trip to the San Siro a bit easier. In said second leg, Porcelli hit the bar half an hour in. Moretti then unfortunately scored this in the 73rd. So it's going to extra time, as nothing else happened in normal time. 7 minutes into extra time though, a highlight appeared. Atakan Inan plays it out wide to Duran, but he gets tackled, so it goes even further wide. That doesn't matter though. Duran claims back the ball, plays it to Atakan Inan, who plays it back to Duran. And he scores with a great finish to get us the win! Duran is on my mind, and his yen is fine dined. Let's go! We're through to the flipping final! And it's the legend Duran that's got us there. I think the packed schedule is starting to get to us though, as we draw with Konyaspor and then lose to Samsunspor. So all of a sudden we're tied on points with Trabzonspor. And now we've got exactly Trabzonspor twice in 4 days. We start by losing completely deservedly 1-0 in the second leg of the semi-final in the Turkish Cup, as Markuyu got their goal. So we're out of that competition now. Now it's time for the game that really matters though, the league game. If we win this, we've won the title for the 3rd year running. Ekman opened the scoring for us 28 minutes in. Bayram then got a good save, before Servet hit the post for them. And in the 85th, Atakan Inan scored to double our lead and get us the 2-0 win. So we win the title once again. But we don't get a trophy lift once again either. So let's use the one from 2 years ago, I guess. If you're wondering, we lost our final league game 4-2 against Fenerbahce. So we actually win the league being tied on points with Trabzonspor, as we beat them in our second to last game. Now though, it's time for the UEFA Champions League final. The biggest game in our history, and a difficult one at that. We're facing PSG, and if we can shut down Lamine Yamal and Mathys Tel, then we have a great chance, as they have 4 key players out injured. We start in the most insane fashion, as Aldogan scored 2 minutes in. Right before the break, Tel hit the post from this free kick, and then we got a huge block to deny Kangin Lee of a tap-in. As I went more and more defensive throughout the game, Atakan Inan fucked it up for us in the 74th, as he pushed Ignosi in our box to get them a pen. João Neves steps up to take it, and he misses as Bayram saves. Gurgul then played Erkan through 10 minutes later, and the latter scored to double our lead. So we win 2-0 against PSG to win the UEFA Champions League! We've finally done it! We've won the biggest trophy in all of Europe! An absolutely incredible season comes to an end, alongside this series coming to an end. It's been a journey from out of this world, all the way from the Turkish 3rd tier to European champions, while only using our youth academy. That's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. It means the absolute world to me, and I'll see you in the next one.